that song is really based on the verses of the Upadeshamrita written by Rupa Goswami. And that was the first book that Rupa Goswami wrote. And so Prabhupada explains in the beginning of that book that this is the initial instruction to all devotees, from neophyte to, within that book you have instruction from the very beginning devotee to the most advanced bhakti yogis. And in the beginning, Prabhupada mentions that for the devotee who wants to make advancement in Krishna consciousness, the first thing we need to do is to arise in mastery of our mind and our senses. And he says if one is able to do that, then everything that one needs to make further spiritual advancement will be revealed within one's heart. But if we can't do that, then we'll be run into so many obstacles. So he focuses our attention there. And then as Bhaktivinoda Thakur progresses in the song, he starts out with that, describing how we have to deal with the six senses which include the mind, and then learn how to accept what is favorable for devotional service, reject what is unfavorable. In detail, he describes to us what those things are so that we can see what they are in our life and make progress, and then how to associate with the devotees, how to exchange the 6 exchanges of love, so that we can be fortified and inspired in Krishna consciousness. So all glories to Bhaktivinoda Thakur and to Rupa Goswami and to all the Rupanugas here.
Haribo!
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So there's so many nice songs by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Maybe we'll sing the other one. Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koroe Dasi Trinapeka Adihina. We're all dependent on the mercy of the Guru. We can't do anything, we can't move a step forward in our spiritual life without the mercy of the Guru. It's not an independent endeavor. We have to endeavor, but alongside of that, the mercy of the Guru is there simultaneously. Same with Krishna's mercy is there simultaneously. Not that we just depend on mercy and do whatever we want. As the Christian philosophy is, I just go on sinning and God will forgive me, Jesus will forgive me, and then I'll be okay. But our philosophy is we have to make a lot of endeavor in our spiritual life, but we also know that ultimately without His mercy we can't conquer our senses, we can't move forward in spiritual life. And ultimately we have to simply run behind our spiritual master yelling, Krishna, Krishna, please save me. We're just so dependent on His mercy. Just please help me here. Krishna, Krishna. Haribo.
Thank you, Sananda Prabhu. Yeah, you have one more?
Hare Krishna. Last night we read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya's instruction I'm just waiting for it to settle down. Especially when there's so few of us in the room, when things are going on and it's hard. Hare Krishna. Last night I read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya's instruction to all of us to accept this Krishna consciousness and to distribute it. And what that means is that we become fully dependent on the instructions of our spiritual master and the association of our spiritual master, and what he's asking us to do is to become spiritual masters. This is inconceivable, how we're fully dependent on our spiritual master, and at the same time we have to be bold enough to take the order of the spiritual master as our life and soul. That is the success, secret of success in advancement in spiritual life. And when I was hearing the song, I was thinking how Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as Satyadev so nicely pointed out, that it was kind of like a summary of the Upadeshamrita, but a summary of the first part of Upadeshamrita, not the last part. Very little, just touched on it. But what ran through my mind is that what it means to take responsibility on behalf of the spiritual master, on behalf of Lord Chaitanya and Sri Krishna, Srila Prabhupada. He wanted us all to become gurus, and we have perhaps a conception of what that means, that we have to sit on the big seat and, be the world acharya, and yeah, we're daunted. When we think of that, we think, well, not me. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wrote a very wonderful essay, or maybe it was a speech, whichever it was. He talks about assuming the responsibility of being guru. And in it he said that, you're asking me to be guru. You can be guru. You're the Lord of the universe. I am a sinful wretch. And at the end of this song, this is the conclusion. I'm a wretch and I'm just running after you, chanting, Krishna, Krishna, help me, help me. But what he really wants is for us to take that order and run after the conditioned souls and be guru. And because the emphasis in this song and in Bhaktivinoda's teachings and Srila Prabhupada's teachings very clearly emphasizing the basics. And I think that a revival of the basics in all of our lives should be top priority. And because the first verse tells us what it means, how to be qualified to be guru. And it doesn't mean to get the vote of somebody or to dress like this or know this or that. It means to control the mind and senses, as Satyadev so nicely pointed out. If you can control those urges, mind, control anger, words, belly, genital, then you're qualified to make disciples all over the world. So maybe we should meditate on that. Prabhupada said in the purport of Chaitanya Charitamrita I was reading last night, this is one person, one Indian's endeavor, he said, and look at the result. So if so many others take up this mission and push forward this mission based on this principle and take the basics of our spiritual life as obviously what they are as the foundation, and then go out and give that to others, then the purport of this song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur will be fulfilled. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Now Sunanda Prabhu will sing Gurudev Kripas Pindadiya. You can sit in this chair And move this microphone over in front of that chair, and that's where it's going to stay from now on, because that's going to be the chair that devotees will make some offerings from, and the camera is right on it. Would you like a madanga?
Yeah. Gurudev kripa bindhu diya koro he dase tranapekha atihina. Kripa bindhu diya koro he dase tranapekha atihina. Gurudev kripa bindhu diya koro he dase tranapekha atihina. Sakale sahane bola diya koro nijamane sprihahina. Sakala sahane bola diya koro nijamane sprihahina. Sakala sahane bola diya koro nijamane sprihahina. Sakala sahane bola diya koro nijamane sprihahina. Sakale saman korite shakati dehonata jatayada. Sakale saman korite shakati dehonata jatayada. Sakale saman korite shakati dehonata jatayata. Sakale saman korite shakati dehonata jatayata. Tabe to gaibo hari nama sukhe aparada habe hata. Tabe to gaibo hari nama sukhe aparada habe hata. Tabe to gaibo hari nama sukhe aparada habe hata. Tabe to gaibo hari nama sukhe aparada habe hata. Tabe hino kripa dobhiya he jan kritartha hoibe na. Tabe hino kripa dobhiya he jan kritartha hoibe na. Kabe hino kripa dobhiya he jan kritartha hoibe na. Kabe hino kripa dobhiya he jan kritartha hoibe na. Shakti buddhihin ami ati din koro mode atmasat. 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 Yogyata vichare kichu nahi pai tomara karuna sa. 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 Karuna na hoile kandiya kandiya Prananada Kiboada Kandia Kandia Prananada Kiboada Kadunana hoile kandia kandia prananada kiboada Ranunana hoile kandia kandia prananada kiboada Binjuba bintu dia korohe dhase trinape katina korohe dhase Gurudev kripa bindu dia korohe dhase trinape katina
Translation. Gurudev, altogether, give to this servant just one drop of mercy. I am lower than a blade of grass. Give me all help. Give me strength. Let me be as you are, without desires or aspirations. I offer you all respects, for thus I may have the energy to know you correctly. Then by chanting the holy name in great ecstasy, all my offenses will cease. When will such mercy fall to this one who is weak and devoid of intelligence? Allow me to be with you. If you examine me, you will find no qualities. Your mercy is all that I am made of. If you are not merciful unto me, I can only weep, and I will not be able to maintain my life. Sananda Prabhu, why did you pick this song?
It's one of my favorite
Why?
songs. This reveals the mind of the real Vaishnava, the Vaishnava disciple, in his relationship with his guru. He feels he has no qualifications at all. He may be a very qualified person. He may be a scholar, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was a great scholar, but when he approached Gorkishore Das Babaji, he felt himself like nothing. And so this is the mentality of the disciple, because the guru is the representative of God. Sakshad Hari Tvena Samasta Shastra. As we chant in the Guru Vashtaka, the guru is the representative of God, the associate of God, and we're approaching him with all humility. I have no qualifications, I have no intelligence, I'm weak, I'm attached to this material world, to sense gratification, but by your mercy, again, it's by the mercy of the Guru that we can advance in spiritual life. And how do we actually get that mercy or take that mercy? It's not really just something ephemeral either. It's the instructions of the spiritual master, his order, his instructions, what he tells you to do. Not that we're always just, give me mercy, but we don't do anything. We have to follow his order, and then we get some special mercy. Krishna reveals himself. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one gets Krishna's mercy. So we have to do something to please the spiritual master to get his mercy. Even though we have no qualifications, we still have to try. So this is my favorite song because I know I have no qualifications whatsoever. I have no spiritual qualification and no material qualifications either. So this song is the essence of what we all need to try to do as Vaishnavas in order to advance in spiritual life. And this is how Prabhupada taught us to do this. You remember that lecture? He once was speaking on this song, Sri Guru Charana Padma. He said, every day you are saying, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Kariya Aikya Arana Kori He Mane Asha. He said, your words may open my heart, reveal to me everything. This is what we're asking the spiritual master. Please open up the spiritual world for me. And his words and his instructions are all there for us. It's not hidden, it's not a secret, it's all there. And we just have to take it.
Thank you, Sananda Prabhu. Now, any reflections of what you heard so far? Go ahead, Harivamsha. Where's that microphone? Bring them all out. Bring a bushel basket of them. Okay, go ahead, Harivamsha.
I like what Prabhu said. If you follow Guru's instructions, the spiritual world can open up for you. And you just have to, it comes in Tad Vidhi Pranipatena Pariprashna Sevaya, that first it is Pranipat, then Pariprashna, then Sevaya. That use the, was first surrender and then use the intelligence to serve, not the other way around, surrender. So just follow the instructions and then the spiritual world will open.
Thank you. More reflections. Something you heard that stuck in your mind.
Hare Krishna. In that same vein, as you were saying, I want to just...
You got to hold that right to your mouth because you talk really slow.
Sorry, excuse me. I just want to read one section of that essay that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta wrote because it contains the essence of what we're talking about. This is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I happen to be one of the greatest fools. No one offers me good advice on account of my arrogance. Inasmuch as nobody condescends to instruct me, I placed my case before Mahaprabhu himself. The thought occurred to me that I would make over the charge of myself to him and see what he would advise me to do. So the background is that when his father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was also his guru, and his Diksha guru, Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, left this world fairly close together, he was put in this dilemma because one of them was a great preacher, Goshtyanandi Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and the other was a Babaji, Bhajananandi, who never went out of Navadvip, he would even make arrangements so that no one would come to him, and he would do all sorts of funny things, you know. He would sometimes dress up in fancy silk and sit on the veranda of a prostitute, a well-known local prostitute, so that everyone would think, oh, he's fallen now, I won't go to him, just in order to avoid. No, he did that. He actually did that. That's not the story. He actually did that. And one time, this nice young couple came who were obviously kind of neophyte, but they were trying to get his blessings, and he wanted to do his bhajan, so they came to him, and he was sitting in his little kutir, and they came to the door of the kutir, be shy to come in, and they said, Gurudev, and this and that, and this and that, and he said, you want to take my bidding? You want to take, yes, he says, you pass your stool here in the doorway. Not now, yes, right now. And he was thinking that way no one would come in to disturb him because of the, anyway. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was wondering which way I should go, because these are the two, guiding lights of my life, So then he decided to approach Lord Chaitanya in order to find out. So what he did in order to approach Lord Chaitanya is he made a vow to chant 1 billion names. 1 billion names means if you chant 3 lakhs of names, that's 192 rounds. I'll repeat that. 192 rounds every day for 9 years. You'll chant 1 billion names. So towards the end of that, he got the answer directly from Lord Chaitanya in the form of a page of Chaitanya Bhagavat that came and landed somewhere near him and he could see it. And this is what Lord Chaitanya said to him. Then Sri Chaitanya Dev said to me, whomsoever thou meetest, instruct him regarding Krishna. By my command, being Guru, deliver this land. In this thou wilt not be obstructed by the current of the world. Thou wilt have my company once again at this place. In these verses is to be found the proper explanation of the apparent inconsistency noted above, which Sunanda Prabhu was speaking about. He whose only teaching is humility greater than a blade of grass said, by my command, being Guru, save this land. In this instance, Mahaprabhu himself has given the command, his command being, perform the duty of Guru, even as I do it myself. Also, convey this command to whomever you chance to meet. Chaitanya Dev says, tell them these words, that is, by my command, being Guru, save this land. Deliver the people from their foolishness. Now, whosoever happens to hear these words would naturally protest with palms joined, but I am really a great sinner. How can I be Guru? You are Godhead himself, the teacher of the world. You can be Guru. To this Mahaprabhu replies, in this thou wilt not be obstructed by the current of the world. Thou wilt have my company once again at this place. Do not practice the craft of a Guru for the purpose of injuring others through malice. Do not adopt the trade of a Guru in order to get immersed in the sloth of this world. But if you can indeed be my guileless servant, you will be endowed with my power, then you need not fear. I have no fear. My Gurudev has heard this from his Gurudev. And it is for this reason that my Gurudev has accepted even such a great sinner as myself and has told me, by my command, being Guru, save this land. It is only those who have never heard these words of Gaurasundar who say, how odd to listen to one's own praise. While the Guru is instructing his disciple in the 11th skanda of the Bhagavatam, what a great sin, in their opinion, is he not perpetuating? What is the Acharya to do when he has to explain the shloka, Acharya mam vijaniyat? Never disregard the Acharya. Never entertain the idea that the Acharya is your equal in any sense. These are the words of Sri Krishna himself by which the jiva is to be benefited. Is the Guru to take himself off, to desert his seat, the seat of the Acharya from which these words are to be explained? That office his Gurudev has conferred upon him. If he does not act up to its requirements, he is doomed to perdition by reason of his offense against the holy name in the shape of disrespect towards the Guru. He has to do it, in spite of the fact that such procedure is apparently open to the charge of egoism. Hare Krishna.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki
Jai
jai.
Ho.
Other insights? Yes, Shraddha Devi Dasi.
On Monday mornings, I have this. Monday mornings are my transition period because I spend the weekend at ISV, which is a different world altogether. And then as Monday dawns, I slowly start getting sucked into the corporate environment. And there's always this contrast going on, and I'm a little bit more alert to the fact that there is such a big contrast between spiritual and what we do in our work. And as I was going through this the song, it was like how opposite we do in our mundane life. for example, like humility is something that you are not supposed to exhibit at all at your work. It's supposed to be a negative thing. And also the line over there which said that if you're not merciful to me, I can only weep. And I was just thinking that spending such a long time, like I've been working for 30 years now, so your heart becomes so hardened that tears don't come easily at all, at least to me, you know, for situations like this that I'm not able to do proper. You know, I might realize that I'm a sinner, I've done so many bad things, but the shameful thing is that I will laugh at it, you know. There are no tears there at all. And then in the song he says that I will run behind you, you know, saying Krishna, Krishna, like that. And it's not that at all in corporate world. Again, like, you know, I never run after my manager. It's it's more like, you know, saying helping, and it's more like you know, fine, you know, I'll find another job. So that thing is always, you know, lurking. But that humility is not there at all. So yeah, something to reflect.
Thank you, Shraddha. Shamalangi.
I think I'm very happy to be here today morning. Yesterday I almost stopped smiling after doing the crowd control. I was looking at Shraddha Mataji, she was still smiling, but today morning I feel very good somehow. I still don't have that thing in me where I'm very happy within the crowd. So I'm feeling very blessed today morning. And I was very humbled by how Sananda Prabhu commented on this song. He says, I'm not spiritually qualified, materially qualified, but I don't know him as much, but I know you have Prabhupada's blessing. And whatever you say, it's, you know, it really touched at my heart. I know you sang very well right now. I have never heard you singing like this. I usually hear you singing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, so I was very, I liked it so much. And another thing I know about you, you're a wonderful cook, because I remember I took your halwa to my office and they were so impressed that they felt like coming here. The halwa was so nice. So I'm really, really thankful about your comments. You know, I felt very nice.
In the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sanatana Goswami, one of the elements he mentions 9 elements of bhava, when one's heart is actually softening. And that is that although one's becoming more qualified, the devotee feels that he's becoming less and less qualified. And Maharaj often points out a section in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita about humility, utter humility, called dainya, that as one advances towards prema, there's an equal amount of dainya increases as well. They go hand in hand. Other reflections? Yes.
Thank you, Sunanda Prabhu, for bringing a wonderful song. I particularly like a point in which Bhaktivinoda Thakur reveals how we can know. He told, by my own strength I can't know, but when by offering respects I can know you, the mercy of you and how glorious you exactly, sorry, it went out of my mind. It's something like that. By offering respects to you, I can know you. And that is the way he has also given the secret, how you can know and how you can advance. I like that point.
Thank you, very nice. Harivamsha.
Thank you again, Prabhu, for a wonderful song. Actually, I wanted to relate with what recently I was reading in Tattva Sandarbha, where Gopi Parandhan Prabhu is mentioning in his commentary, where I think Jiva Goswami directly is starting with a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam itself, Krishna Vasham Tusha Krishna. So he is saying that it is the culture of devotional humility that we don't give our commentaries or give new things, but our acharyas have already done that. So Jiva Goswami, instead of beginning with his own verse, he's directly quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam, that this is the hallmark of our society. And elsewhere, in a very beautiful article in ISKCON Communications Journal, Gopi Parandhan Prabhu was kind of revealing how Srila Prabhupada has brought his commentaries, that how he has encapsulated everything what Sridhar Swami said, what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, including more. So And he said exactly what they did and top it up with the realizations of the modern world. So it's so encapsulating, yet following that culture of devotional humility that we don't supersede our acharyas, try to even, rather just repeat their words, and that is the perfection. So all this kind of ties up in a very beautiful way. And same as Shamlangi Mataji said, there is an overwhelming feeling of gratitude today, a feeling of connection to Srila Prabhupada, especially after a day-long yesterday. Still, thanks to all blessings, we don't feel tired but feel connected. So that's very special. Thank you.
Thank you.
Worth feeling sick for the corporate culture today.
Can I say, I make another comment?
Yeah.
On that, in our philosophy, we say, as Srila Prabhupada taught it, the end and the means, or the means and the end are the same. So in some spiritual paths, you practice humility and kindness and compassion, but the goal is to become one with God or to become a great guru or something like that. But we're practicing humility because in the spiritual world you'll be doing the same thing. Gopi Bhartur, Pada Kamalayor, Dasa Dasa, Dasa Anudasa. That we're in the spirit. You can't directly approach Krishna. You are going in the higher stages of devotion. You have to approach one of the associates of the Lord and become their servant, and then they train you and show you what to do, how to make the garlands and how to chant and play the instruments. That's the whole path. So we're practicing to be in the spiritual world while we're here. So this whole lifestyle of cultivating the service attitude to not just even the Guru, but to all Vaishnavas. That's the most important element of what we're doing. Ternadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina amanadena kirtaniya sadaharid. That's the only way we can really chant the holy name purely, by humility, feeling oneself humble.
Go ahead.
Just to document Sunanda Prabhu's wonderful point, here's what Srila Prabhupada said about that. In October 23rd, 1972, in Vrindavan, he's lecturing the famous Nectar Devotion series lectures. And he says, first of all, he gives the duty of the disciple, which is to see the Guru and treat the Guru as good as Krishna, because he's representing Krishna. He's agreed to try to give Krishna to others. But then he says, but the spiritual master does not think of himself as Hari, although he's offered the respect of Hari. He thinks himself as humble servant of Hari and all others. Which is the point you just made. A spiritual master takes his disciples as his spiritual master. That is the position. He thinks that Krishna has sent me so many spiritual masters. He does not think himself as spiritual master. He thinks himself their servant, because they have to be trained. Krishna has appointed him to train them. Therefore, he thinks himself as servant of the disciples. This is the position. So when one is advanced, he can see the importance of devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
I heard a lecture recently when there was a heckler in the audience. It was Australia. And actually maybe Bombay. I can't remember the location. However, Prabhupada had been talking about Varnashrama and mentioning the different classes. The man, you can't hear his voice that well because it's indistinct, but still Prabhupada was responding, so in context you could understand something. But he came to a point where the man was demanding to know what Prabhupada thought his position was, because Prabhupada was talking about making first-class people, and that was necessary for society. So the man was accusing Prabhupada, so you think you're first class? Prabhupada said, no, I'm in the 5th class. And he said, how can you say that? And Prabhupada said, because I'm serving the other 4 classes. But I thought of it, not just as a witty answer, but actually as the default position of somebody who's in the position of a servitor of his spiritual master. He's never considering that I'm the top. He's always thinking I'm the servant and that's my position. So it was actually, his real feeling and position in that sense, the way he's seeing. And then in context of the offering respects to all living entities, I just remember how in the pastime when Shivananda Sain becomes compassionate towards a dog that joined the Sankirtan party on their way from Navadvip to Jagannath Puri and instructed the cook to give him rice, and was very distraught when the cook forgot to give him rice, and then the dog apparently wandered away and nobody could find it. And when they got to Jagannath Puri, they did find the dog, and he was already with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking remnants from his plate. By Mahaprabhu's mercy, he was throwing it to him. And as soon as Shivananda Sain came into that arena, he offered his obeisances to the dog. And I just always appreciated that, how it's the safest position to become the servant of the servant and to feel oneself the humble servant of all living entities, because one thing is we never know who they are, and one may artificially develop an idea that this person is not with us, he's lower than me. The false ego puts me in that position. One of the points about taking the humble role and going out and trying to give others Krishna consciousness, one discovers that there are all kinds of qualities in even the fallen souls that are qualities, Krishna's qualities. They're just covered over, and we don't know who we're talking to. And that the Shastra says, Yetu sarvani bhutani atmani vanu pashyati sarvaputeshu chatmanam tatunu navi jugupsate yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaivad bhutvijanataha. It gives us advice to honor all living entities by seeing how they're part and parcel of Krishna. And then one must do that systematically. Anupashyati means one must systematically see all living entities as parts and parcel of Krishna and have respect for them. And it's not a well-known or well-practiced art, being humble. So it's so appropriate hearing about this today in this context of these bhajans and Prabhupada's Sri Vyasa Puja, because he epitomized that in everything he did, and he never took credit. And I'm writing a section in this book just about how Prabhupada applied the order of his spiritual master, and over he says, I don't have any qualification except for one, and that is that I tried to follow my Guru Maharaj. I didn't try to jump over or invent anything. His motive was to follow, and he did that. And because of that, he said that was the success. And now, yes.
Maharaj, in the song that you sang, the first song in which are particular 6 qualities, and the 6th one is that Sato Vritte, following the footsteps of previous acharyas. I was just liking that even Harivans Prabhu make the point, and now you just made like how it is appropriate that Sri Rupa Goswami has given as the one of the 6 qualities that you should have is the following the footsteps of previous acharyas, Sato Vritte. And Prabhupada actually epitomized that, how he followed his spiritual master and whole parampara.
Thank you.
On a lighter note about following your seniors and your spiritual master, Harivansh Prabhu and I were talking in the morning about the hangover that you get after the Janmashtami day. because you have starved the whole day, and then there's the feast, and you just eat all of it. And I was telling him that, I used to suffer that as a lot, and till I observed that Vaisesika Prabhu, he doesn't eat anything after fasting the whole day, he'll just have water. And so I did that last night. I ate very, very light, so I was feeling very good. So I was just telling him that it's very easy, you just have to follow.
So, and first I'd like to ask if anybody wrote something about something they want to offer to Prabhupada. If you have something written, we'll take you first. I was going to take Prabhupada disciples second today. So if you have something written, then you can offer. If you have something already prepared, that's that you've already got it constructed in your mind, and you want to make an offering, then we'll invite you to come up. Now we're just going to rearrange the seating. So none of people don't mind, but I'm going to put you right next to Satyadev, and you can vacate this seat. For those who are going to speak, they can come up and sit in this chair so that you're on camera, and use that microphone. And when you speak into the microphone, use the microphone. Prabhupada gives the example of the village girl. She learns to dance, trained by her dance teacher, and then she comes up on stage, and then she wants to put the veil over her head, and he said, "Not now, you dance." So sometimes we shy away from the microphone because, I can't, But don't do that. Use the mic the way it should be used. Put it right under your mouth so you can hear the full tenor of the voice. Are you ready, Shweta?
No, Maharaj, I didn't write anything, but I've been reading the book, What's the Difficulty? And so there was one particular section that I thought that, time permits, I'll read.
Please sit down in the seat so the camera can pick you up nicely. Okay, Bhaktavatsal will be next.
I can go after him.
No, sit. And move quickly because we're running out of time already. And also don't take a lot of time. Everyone be brief. It's not for major oratory, but make the main points and then move on. So we can get a lot of variety. And somebody put a table in front of the speaker's stand so that whoever's there can have facility.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjan-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we have been talking in the morning about humility, but the section that I had chosen to read is about pride, but this is a good kind of a pride. I'm reading from the book What is the Difficulty by Shruta Kirti Das, and earlier this year I had the good fortune to meet him in person when we were in Mayapur for the ISV Yatra. So I'm reading from 166 episode. The devotee is proud to be the servant of Krishna. It's May 12, 1975 in Perth, Australia. A receptive devotee could learn so many things just by sitting quietly and watching Srila Prabhupada. Once Srila Prabhupada sat up very straight in his garden in New Dwarka and said, "The devotee is proud to be the servant of Krishna." This was a very important lesson for me because balancing humility with the pride of being Krishna's servant was a bit confusing. I was somewhat timid in the execution of my service when it involved requesting help of some service from people outside the devotee community. And Shrutikirti's Prabhu's service was that he was a servant, personal servant of Prabhupada. I mistook devotional humility for mundane bodily apprehension. Instead of being proud of being Krishna's servant and Prabhupada's servant, I was apologetic. I denied pride, not realizing that I was misdirected. Deluded, I thought I needed to exude humility. Srila Prabhupada adorably personified pride in being Krishna's servant. Sometimes when he returned to his sitting room after a morning program, he turned to me and said smiling, "Did you record the lecture today?" "Yes, Srila Prabhupada," I said. "Play it back," he instructed. "I want to hear it." On other occasions, he would be sitting behind his desk in his room, and when his disciples entered the room, he would smile and ask, "So the lecture was all right today?" Of course, his disciples always responded enthusiastically, cherishing every word that flowed from the lotus tips of their spiritual master. The devotees recognized special messages within some of his lectures, and even the dullest of living entities could understand the one point Srila Prabhupada continuously and clearly drove home. It appeared that Srila Prabhupada took special pride in certain lectures. He seemed to immensely enjoy smashing the Mayavadi philosophy. He proudly presented Krishna to everyone, defeating their bogus arguments. He was very proud that Krishna was his Lord and Master. Srila Prabhupada also expressed pride in his disciples. One beautiful afternoon in July 1973, Srila Prabhupada sat at the lawn at Bhaktivedanta Manor with some of his disciples and Indian guests. I was reading Lord Chaitanya in 5 features, an early and partial printing of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. I was doing my best to pronounce the Bengali by using the transliteration. Much to my surprise, after reading for about 10 minutes, Srila Prabhupada said, "Just see how nicely he pronounces Bengali," although he has never read Bengali in his whole life. With this method, he can pronounce it very nicely. Many times Srila Prabhupada praised his Western disciples before the Indian community. He accomplished many things by doing this. He encouraged his disciples to further their progress in Krishna consciousness. He encouraged the Indian community to take more seriously that which was their birthright. He showed everyone that by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga and the potency of the holy name, even Malechas and Yamans could advance in spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada always credited his Guru Maharaj and the potency of chanting the Lord's holy name for all that he accomplished. Once in his quarters in New Dwarka, Srila Prabhupada said to me, "You Western boys and girls have taken so much intoxication. If not for the chanting of Mahamantra, you would not be able to accomplish anything." In the May of 1975 in Perth, Australia, Srila Prabhupada was having a conversation with a professor. Srila Prabhupada spoke very strongly about different classes of human beings. Paramhamsa Maharaj and I were sitting in the room, relishing our spiritual master, expressing to the fairly receptive gentleman how almost everyone was a 4th class man. "You are also a 4th class man," he told the professor. "Well, what can I do?" the professor responded. "You must become a pure devotee like them," Srila Prabhupada energetically said. As he finished the sentence, he pointed to Paramhamsa and me as examples of pure devotees. My godbrother and I looked at each other and broke out in huge smiles. We knew we were not pure, but we loved being used as illustrations for our dearmost spiritual master. We knew that Srila Prabhupada would never say, "Become a pure devotee like me." That was one of the beautiful qualities of my spiritual master, the pure devotee of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Shraddha Devi Dasi, and now Bhaktivatsal Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatata Satarine. My dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my most humble obeisances. I am but a fallen soul with no good qualities and many desires to enjoy and avoid going back home, back to Godhead. but by your causeless mercy that I remain attached to your lotus feet and try hard to be steady in my service so that I can please you. Steadiness means to be firmly placed and fixed, stable, steadfast, and unwavering. These are qualities I admired in you from the very beginning. You are convinced that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he desperately wants us home. You surrendered your life to serving Guru and Krishna and lived only to save the fallen souls of the West. Your monumental accomplishments tell me that you are empowered by your pure devotional service. By your causeless mercy, you somehow have picked this fallen soul to teach the path of Krishna consciousness. I am useless to you in your endeavors to preach in the West, but I will stick around hoping that to get a glimpse into the philosophy that can save us all. I don't have my glasses, so I do apologize. I pray that you teach me how to be steady so that I can continue to grow in my service and develop a taste for Krishna consciousness. I pray for my friends and family in this movement that they too will remain steady and blessed by your devotional service. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Akya Anna Koriya Mane Asha Shri Guru Charanarati Esayu Tamagati Ye Prasade Pure Sava Asha. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from your lotus mouth. Attachment to your lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. Your humble servant, Bhaktivatsal Das.
Anyone have a prepared offering? We're taking all the non-Diksha disciples of Prabhupada. Or something already ready in your mind. Go ahead, Harivamsha. Don't hesitate, just get up there.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam. With straw in my mouth, I humbly beg in advance forgiveness because I haven't prepared anything. I just jotted whatever story I have in my mind. So, atheists and rationalists and some New Age people think that things happen in the world by chance. There's so much chances around. But if you see a bigger picture, there are no coincidences. Everything is planned and everything is, kind of unfolding according to plan of Sri Krishna and Gauranga. And as why I'm saying that, I feel that on this day with an overwhelming feeling of gratitude, especially connected to this center, how the plan of Gauranga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada and all acharyas are manifesting. So if you rewind back 5,000 years ago, Krishna spoke Gita to Arjun. Maybe one day every house, every hotel will have Gita. He spoke for all. And then, but he realized that he did not give love of Godhead. He gave some codified instructions. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he instructed his disciples, especially 6 Goswamis, that they go to Vrindavan and write books. Books that were philosophical and also esoteric and revealing the deep secrets, because these Goswamis were none other than Manjaris who had direct access to all the quarters. Radha Krishna knew deeply, what it will take to bring the conditioned soul to, Krishna's lotus feet. And it didn't stop there. Jiva Goswami, actually, I'm sure many of you know that, but I will like to read this snippet. Jiva Goswami sent his students, Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, and Shyamananda Prabhu on the first ever book distribution. They did various books, There are scores there, so I will not read it. But then Narottam Das Thakur concludes his letter with the following emotional comment. He says, until we are able to develop another type of technology to print the books, due to the difficulty involved in creating books by hand, most of our book distribution program will be postponed. We are sure that one day some magnanimous person will come and will develop the movement of ecstatic love of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, distributing books all over the world. Until then, what will we, persons who are poor, bereft, and abominable, do? What is the benefit of discussing the stories of Lord's incarnations, worshipping the Lord's deities, giving musical recitations of the Lord's pastimes, chanting the Lord's holy names on the beads, etc., when we have such small scores? But it was huge scores. So they wanted this expedition, and then after that Bhaktivinoda Thakur came. He had to revive so much of going on. He practically revived the Gaudiya Vaishnavism, which was at that time considered, because of many, many reasons, Sahajiaism, etc. He revived the Vaishnavism, creating so many articles, so many books, and he sent in 1896, I believe, a book on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to McGill University, and it was the same day, same year, Srila Prabhupada appeared. Then his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, wrote again many books, and it was the historical day, I think it was 1926, please correct me if I'm wrong, at one Altadanga Junction Road, where he gave the instruction that if you ever get money, print books. So none of this is coincidence. None of this is by chance. Everything is happening through a plan. It's like preparation. Something is about to unfold. Again, Srila Prabhupada got the same instruction, I believe. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, 1936, in the letter. I think after that Prabhupada didn't happen to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Same instruction. Still, again, there was a plan to be unfold. He waited 29 years till 1965. Of course, he was doing back to Godhead, but then he wrote, prepare Srimad Bhagavatam. He wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, took a suitcase of books to US, and then the history, I think, the big bomb which was prepared by our acharyas, by Krishna's plan, it just burst open. And why I wanted to kind of recollect this, because there's an overwhelming feeling of gratitude that we are connected to this center and we are carrying that same plan which was set forth, and maybe this is a part of that plan. So I'm feeling very thankful that I have a part here, and I'm able to contribute in a little minuscule way. I have a personal experience that Srila Prabhupada books are like time bombs, because more than a decade back, when I was in high school, I got an English Bhagavad Gita. I kept it near me like my possession, but due to my own yardsticks in life, I read it, and Srila Prabhupada in every purport said, Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. I said, well, that's my mother told me what's new. So I just closed it, didn't read through my measure of studies, but one day I think it just broke open. And so like that, these are bombs, and as Srila Prabhupada said in one of his letters, I don't know whether he meant figuratively or literally, he said that just like in army you drop bombs from the plane, like that.
During wartime.
During wartime.
He said these centers are a basis from which we go out to fight Maya. Fight Maya means going out and dropping hundreds of thousands of bombs into the laps of conditioned souls in the form of these books.
So maybe one day literally that may happen.
We can look into that. Ramananda, maybe you get on that. I think a drone would be good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Harivamsha Prabhu. And someone else who would like to make an offering to Prabhupada, if it's written, that's best. If it's not, then if you're prepared and you'd like to come up, that is prepared in mind and heart, come on up. Please, don't hesitate, just get up there really fast. Go ahead, Garnavika, jump. And remind everyone, keep them sort of on the medium to short side. Yours is fine.
ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्तस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुषोरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. I was just hearing some memories of Srila Prabhupada on YouTube today, and that was really inspiring, especially the points related to what Maharaj was reading to us from the book Founder Acharya. So once Prabhupada was on a morning walk, and then birds were flying in correct patterns, and one of his disciples saw that, and he asked Prabhupada, how do they communicate with each other? It seems to be in advanced communication systems. And then Prabhupada said, those birds are not unintelligent like you, that they don't cooperate. I was like, Prabhupada was equating cooperation to intelligence, so it's, and it must be so difficult to do it. But even birds could do that, and it's all because of our anarthas. Otherwise, why would Prabhupada say that you show my love towards me by showing me how you cooperate with each other? And also, Prabhupada was Prabhupada knew this, and the way in which he dealt with things happened within his disciple was in such an expert way, and also at the same time encouraging them. Madhudvisa Prabhu was sharing this point when he was in LA. He'll have lots of differences of opinion with Tamil Krishna Goswami, and then Prabhupada sensed that, and he said, why don't you go to San Francisco and push on the movement there and make the Rath Yatra better? So he was very thrilled about it. But Prabhupada, he was saying how Prabhupada encouraged him and also helped him to flourish in Krishna consciousness and not giving some criticisms and crushing the person's enthusiasm. So that was a very inspiring point for me. And also there was another point that was shared as Prabhupada once said, because devotees, they don't interact with the external world, whatever lessons they have to learn will come from devotees. Because sometimes some devotees harsh to you, or she says something. They said the example of if the stones, the edges are not soft and they put it in a bag and you shake it, the edges become soft. Like that, sometimes within the devotees, there may be differences of opinion, but it's all for making our hearts so soft that Krishna can relish it. So I just want to end that note with one point that Prabhupada writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself wanted our cooperation. He is God, Krishna. And therefore, cooperation is very important thing. No one should think that I have got so great ability, I can do it. No, it is simply by cooperation we can do very big thing. So I sincerely pray to Prabhupada to empower us to cooperate with each other. Thank you very much.
You're looking at me means you're ready to go. Go ahead, Pri Kishori.
Om ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Hare Krishna. I've not had any personal association with Srila Prabhupada, but I've had the fortune of having some personal association and relationship with his disciples. And so I was reading Leela Amrita and about the times when Prabhupada first came to America, and you can see how much trouble he took and discomfort at such an age to give the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the fallen souls of the countries like America and soon all over the world. And he took his Guru's instructions to his heart that if you get money, print books and preach the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the English language. And we can see that his intentions to do this and his enthusiasm were so contagiously pure that it attracted all the young generation in America to come with him and distribute Srila Prabhupada's books all over the world. And now we can see that it's still continuing, and the newer generation that is coming up in our movement is taking this very seriously as well. And I feel very fortunate to be part of this ISKCON of Silicon Valley and have the association of His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu, who's always encouraging us to distribute books and be part of this movement and somehow serve Srila Prabhupada in a small way. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Anyone else? Okay. You ready, Kurnath?
I actually did write something in the tribute book, which I didn't get yet, but rather than read that, I'll just... you haven't? Let me just say something extemporaneously now. We can all read tribute books later. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. I was thinking this morning about the power of pure Vaishnavas and the power of Srila Prabhupada. What amazing practical results we've seen from his preaching. Lord Chaitanya said that without being empowered by Krishna, nobody can spread the Sankirtan movement and preach his name. And there are so many powerful people in the world. Yogis, by their austerity and sense control and accumulated mystic activities, can do amazing things. Technology can do things, rich people can do things, political leaders can do things, strong, physically strong people can do all kinds of things. But a pure Vaishnava is more powerful than any of those people. He surpasses all the mystic power. We see from the example of Ambarish Maharaj, how the devotion of a pure devotee defeats a great yogi like Durvasa Muni, because the devotee completely sells himself to Krishna, and concomitantly Krishna gives himself to his devotees. So a devotee is a walking representative of Krishna's power, and by Krishna's empowerment, a devotee can act almost as powerfully as Krishna himself. And but how a devotee uses the power is even more wonderful, because the real necessity in the world is to get the message of Krishna, to understand Krishna, to achieve this perfection of spiritual life, of understanding who we are, that we're eternal servants of Krishna, and how to act again as servants of Krishna, to
who can distract us from the subject matters of hearing and chanting of the materialists that are constantly going on, the sensual novels and mundane news reports and everything of the glittering attractions of the relative mundane world, except the devotees of Krishna, who can actually broadcast the activities of the spiritual life. That's the real substantial life. And it's the devotees of Krishna who can who can give anything really valuable, because this is the only thing that's really valuable, is to reawaken our bhakti, our love of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada has done that in such an unprecedented way in the world. We still see, like last night, I was happy to see Janmashtami still all over the world, people, especially people from India, people from Hindu community, respect Sri Krishna's birthday and come in large numbers to see the deities of Krishna. And yet, until Srila Prabhupada established this preaching mission, this Vaishnava culture was not broadcast outside of India and the Hindu community in such a way. And there are still so many misconceptions when you talk to people about Krishna. In general, not everybody really understands the actual Vaishnava philosophy. But Srila Prabhupada has explained everything so perfectly in his books, not only explained, but also given an example of how to live perfectly as a pure devotee of Krishna, and is able to train his followers to make tangible progress in actually becoming reawakening bhakti in this way. And it's Srila Prabhupada's power is just an amazing example of how a Vaishnava has more powerful than any yogi or any other material powerful person. And there was one room conversation where someone asked Srila Prabhupada, can you show us some mystic power? Sometimes, different people can amaze other, the ordinary people and get them outside of their ordinary thinking of material things by, raising the dead or changing water to wine or whatever, healing the sick and so forth. They asked Prabhupada, can you show a mystic power? And he said, this is my mystic power. These Western young men and women, that was in Hyderabad. Were you there? You were there. Yes, this is my power that they're becoming.
We were all sitting in front of him on the stage. We were all sitting on the stage in front of him, and the situation was that they had questions, written down that the person could come up. And then this person came up and asked this, could you show us, Swami, some mystic power? And Srila Prabhupada just went like this, and he went, this is my mystic power. Like this. And he pointed to all of us, and the whole, there must have been 10,000 people, though, they all roared.
Yeah. This is the important mystic power. That other mystic powers, what can they do? But the power to actually give Krishna's devotion to the people in the world. This is the ultimate necessity that everyone, every soul, every living entity in this world is crying out for. And Srila Prabhupada has, in a superlative, unprecedented way, manifested that power, and we see it carrying on in the continuing expansion of this Krishna consciousness movement, and in his disciples like Vaisesika Prabhu and Kesava Bharati Swami and so many other exemplary preachers. Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare Bol. Jai Jagadish Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Well, in In the interest of time, I'm not going to read all of this because we have many other people to hear from. But in any event, Hare Krishna, good morning. My name is Jaya Jagadish Das, and I joined ISKCON in London in 1971, in February. And this is how this came to be. Starting in the late 1960s, I would run... Read the whole thing. Starting in the late 1960s, I would run into the devotees from time to time in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Berkeley. One time at the old LA temple, I argued with the Venerable Vishnu Jan Swami that eating provided plenty of pleasure in this world. And he countered by saying, yes, but then you have to eat again, and then again. It doesn't last. Frankly, because I recognized the truth in his statement, it made me very angry. Sometime later, at the home of a friend in San Francisco, I happened to pick up a small book by Srila Prabhupada. I remember reading something to the effect that all one was doing in this material world was attempting to squeeze pleasure out of the body. Likewise, the truth of that statement made me very angry, and I threw the book down in disgust. Does that mean I was developing a relationship with my future spiritual master based on anger? Well, in Berkeley in 1968, I began attending the University of California. I rented a room in a boarding house on Durant Street, just a block from the university. One time I recall hearing a loud chorus of Krishna men singing spiritual hymns in the backyard of a house near me. This time a different emotion arose. Oh, I really want to be doing what they're doing. So you could say that there was a kind of squeeze play going on. Because on the one hand, the truth of the temporary nature of pleasure in this material world became evident, and on the other, I began to understand the sublime pleasure available through divine sound. But I needed to suffer a little longer and a little harder, so the material nature happily and easily obliged. In fact, years later, while working with Hridayananda Maharaj in Latin America and in the US between 1974 and 1983, I learned that he and I had been at Berkeley at the same time, and he commented that he had endured so much suffering as a college student that at times he thought he was going to pass out. Those years were a time of intense experimentation. I dabbled in mind-altering substances for a couple of years, but walked away from them once and for all when I realized that they provided no permanent solution to the quest for higher consciousness. Then I traveled to Europe. Well, why? I reasoned that the English language was not the language of my soul, so that if perhaps I lived in France and intensely studied French, then that language was indeed closer to my soul. But Krishna played yet another trick on me, for while enjoying a little and suffering horrendously in Paris, I ran into Hari Vilas Prabhu, who spent many days preaching to me while he was going here and there on temple errands. I argued that suffering was the path to enlightenment, and he countered by asking, so how's that going for you? So I finally decided that Krishna consciousness was the path I must follow. But better I do it in an English-speaking country, because it turned out that, no, French was not the language of my soul. I traveled to London and began visiting the temple regularly, and darned if the burning questions about life and about God and about perfection of consciousness that had remained unanswered since I was 14 found satisfying answers in the words of the devotees. So I decided with fuller conviction, this is the path I must follow. But I had one more minor detour. Starting in the 1960s or the mid-1960s, certain folk singers and rock musicians became the spokespersons for young people's angst and are striving to build a better world. So I decided to buy one last album of music to see if it didn't hold the answers to my questions. In this case, it was the Jefferson Airplane. But by now, they had adopted a new, improved name, the Jefferson Starship. But when I listened intently to the album, I came to the realization that these people were not teachers. They were simply vacuous entertainers who had no more of a clue how to solve life's problems than I did. I felt cheated. So that was it. I had to join the London Temple, But first, I consulted the I Ching, a famous Chinese system of soothsaying. The answer I got from the I Ching was that on the 7th day, I would join a devotional sect. Aha, final permission granted. So on the following Saturday, the 7th day of the week, I moved into the London temple. It was February 1971, and I was 22. I think I had experienced a previous life as a monk because I eagerly took to the austerities, the sleeping bags on the floor, early rising, cold showers, and so forth. That was, of course, a different phase of our movement. Mukunda Prabhu, now Mukunda Goswami, who was the temple president in London, learned that Srila Prabhupada was coming to London, so he encouraged me to write to Guru Das and Yamuna Devi, who were with Srila Prabhupada in India, to ask for initiation. I remember writing that I wanted to submit myself to His Divine Grace for initiation when he arrived in London. The letter I received in return both shocked me and gladdened me. It was dated 24th April 1971, Bombay, and it started out, "My dear Jaya Jagadisha, please accept my blessings. I was glad to see your letter addressed to Sriman Guru Das and Srimati Yamuna Devi regarding your recommendation for initiation by Mukunda Prabhu. I have decided to accept you immediately as my initiated disciple and have enclosed your set of beads herewith as well. I have duly chanted your beads and given you the name Jaya Jagadisha Das Brahmachari. I am very pleased by your humble attitude, so if you will kindly continue to execute your devotional service and practices in such state of mind, then you are sure to achieve perfection in Krishna consciousness very quickly." Srila Prabhupada finally arrived in London. It was August of 1971. His presence was very exciting and sometimes a little overwhelming. A few days after he arrived, I was chanting japa in the temple room one morning when Prabhupada entered the temple. There were only a few of us in the temple, and we immediately offered our respects. I happened to be very close to the deities when Srila Prabhupada came closer to look at them. After a pause, I asked him, "Srila Prabhupada, do you like the way Krishna is dressed?" And he responded, "Yes, he's very beautiful." And then in my mind, I asked, "And how about Srimati Radharani?" And Srila Prabhupada heard my thought, and he said out loud, "Yes, Srimati Radharani is also very beautiful." I had been charged with renting a dictation device for his translation work. As it turned out, when he tried to use the machine, the pause switch on the microphone was defective. I was called into his quarters, and he held up the microphone saying, "It is useless." He handed it to me, and I ran to the shop to get it replaced, and then when I returned to the temple, gave the replacement microphone to his secretary. When later I was called into Prabhupada's room, he was holding the microphone, and he was beaming. When he informed me that it was now working, I began to explain what had been wrong with the previous microphone, but he quickly interrupted me, saying, "I do not want to know what was wrong with the other one. I'm simply pleased that this one is working." So he taught me a simple matter of etiquette. Don't disturb the spiritual master with unnecessary details. Simply perform your service to the best of your ability. In the Paris temple in 1972, most of us, at least the young men, including the temple president, were single, we were quite passionate, and we were all a little crazy. When things became very conflicted at the temple, it so happened that a young, tall, beautiful sattvic couple in robes from Laguna Beach came to stay at the Paris temple temporarily, and they preached Laguna Beach peace and love as a solution to the conflicted atmosphere in the temple. When we all went on traveling Sankirtan in the south of France, they persuaded a couple of us young, semi-crazy brahmacharis to leave the association of devotees and follow them. In fact, we ended up as free passengers on a dirty, noisy, dingy little fishing boat, traveling from Marseille to Algiers, convinced that we would preach peace and love in Africa. We had no money, we had no food when we arrived in Algiers, so having convinced the fishing boat owner to first take us to Africa for free, we then had to work overtime to convince him to take us back to France. So I had left the temple for a couple of weeks, although I continued chanting all my rounds and following the regular principles. I felt bad about this. Sleeping alone in a park in Marseille, I sold incense to keep body and soul together for a few days, and then made a collect call to Bhagavan Prabhu, the newly installed Paris GBC, and begged him to send me train fare to return, which he did. A week later, Srila Prabhupada arrived at the Paris temple. I was fortunate enough to be in the small front yard of the temple in Fontenay-aux-Roses. This was pre-castle days, when Srila Prabhupada first arrived in the VW van and approached the temple. Because of the tall hedges in the front yard, I was momentarily alone with His divine grace. I immediately fell to the ground. When I got up, I was on my knees and looking right up into Prabhupada's face. I say the following with conviction because I've heard other devotees report the same thing. Looking into Srila Prabhupada's eyes, I got the overwhelming sense that he knew everything about me, including my brief absence from the temple, and that he entirely forgave me and welcomed me back. In conclusion, when we're young, we see our parents in a certain way, sometimes focusing on their faults and their defects. But as we mature, perhaps becoming parents ourselves, our understanding of our own parents also matures, and we usually appreciate them more. When I was a new disciple of Srila Prabhupada, I was obedient, certainly. I always chanted my rounds and followed our regulative principles, but in a small corner of my psyche was the understanding that, more than anyone else in this world, Srila Prabhupada was presenting a no-nonsense path that represented the end of material suffering, but also the end of material enjoyment. And I guess a small part of me rebelled against the death of my material self. Perhaps it was that inner rebel that caused me to distance myself from devotee association and devotional service for some time. But as I've matured, I've begun to see Srila Prabhupada with clearer eyes. If I compare that evolving understanding with the increased appreciation of one's parents, the difference is that as we mature, we begin to acknowledge the humanness of our parents. We accept their imperfections, whereas I've been able to gradually appreciate more and more Srila Prabhupada's perfection of consciousness. So I hope you don't mind if I show my face in your lovely temple with the most beautiful Radha Krishna deities in all of ISKCON once or twice a month. As a resident of Santa Cruz, I fear the treacherous Highway 17. But even more treacherous than Highway 17 are the three modes of material nature. And without the association of advanced Vaishnavas, the certainty of repeated birth and death. In order to hopefully provide uplifting association to devotees, I've developed what I call my Tamagun checklist. From it, I immediately pinpointed 21 ways in which I am ruled by Tamagun. The intention, of course, being to gradually ferret such symptoms out of my body, mind, and words. All of you, beginning with Maharaj, other exalted guests, and Sriman Vaisesika Prabhu and Srimati Nikula Devi, all of you who have faithfully served our disciplic succession to me are representatives of Srila Prabhupada. So I want to thank you all for your tireless efforts to spread Krishna consciousness. Thank you for welcoming me back into the association devotees. And thank you for all joining together to glorify our Jagat Guru, Srila Prabhupada, on this glorious Vyasa Puja day. My name is Jaya Jagadish, and I'm recovering from the three modes of material nature.
One more time for Jai Jagadish. And continuing the theme of the three modes of material nature and the treachery of Highway 17 and so forth, anyone who parked on the temple side of the street may be in for a surprise, because it's restricted parking from 9 to 11 because they have to street clean. So don't park on this side of the street, the temple side of the street. If you did, move your car, because up till 11 o'clock they can ticket and tow. Yes? And also it gets worse. You got to move your car out of the parking lot, temple parking lot, because we're setting up tents for prasadam and things like that. So we're going to take a 3-minute break. That means be back here at 9 minutes after 10 o'clock. Because we want to let the other devotees in. I want to rearrange the seating a little bit too. So 3-minute break, come right back. And Mark, it said go.
Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnava Vangsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathannitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Nitansham Bhajasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Bhajasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Bhajate Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar
Hare Krishna. So we're going to begin again. Someone please turn off the recording, and as advertised, 9 minutes after. The recording you'll find right behind that pillar. The middle pillar, there's a device. Just push the off button. So next we're going to ask Sunanda Prabhu, please come up and read his offering to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This actually isn't a written offering, there's just some things I'm going to read. And it's kind of in the line of what Prabhu here, his name?
Jai Jagadish?
No, who's sitting?
Harivangsha.
Harivangsha was speaking about that nothing happens by chance, but rather there's a great arrangement behind everything. Even Krishna says, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. The whole material universe is working under his direction. So, let me first offer my obeisances to Srila Prabhupada before I begin. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. So when I travel for the TOVP, I like to give part of the presentation that I give is the history that Krishna consciousness, the Hare Krishna movement is a part of, to put into perspective where we are as individuals here in this universe, on this particular planet, in this time frame of 2014, and the whole historical perspective of where we stand. and in relationship to that, who Srila Prabhupada is. And this helps us to appreciate his mercy and his greatness and who he, although we don't really know in the spiritual world exactly what relationship he has with Krishna. There's been various ideas proffered to that with that idea, but whatever the case, we know that Srila Prabhupada was a very powerful Nitya Siddha, and he came to this world with a particular mission. And just like before we were singing the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the other day I read a letter that someone asked Prabhupada, I think it was Madhusudan actually, asked Prabhupada, he'd heard that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, before he was a Vaishnava, believe it or not, he had associated with impersonalists. He even, if you dig deep into the histories, he ate meat, although not cow flesh, and various other things which might indicate he was a conditioned soul, a regular conditioned soul in the material world. And Prabhupada explained that no, just as Krishna appears in this world for a particular purpose and has a lila and does things in a certain way and like a pastime, like a dramatic performance, so the pure devotees of the Lord, when they descend to help the Lord in his mission, sometimes they appear to be just like everyone else. But this is all part of the show, the dramatic performance. You could say that everyone is playing their parts in the Leela, because if it was so easy that Krishna just comes and spreads Krishna consciousness and everybody develops their love of Godhead and goes back to Godhead, that would be pretty simple. Why? But it doesn't happen that way. Just like the Pandava, the experience of the Pandavas being exiled for 14 years. And it's not that Krishna's devotees have it easy. There's a Leela to be performed for so many different reasons, to teach lessons, to express their devotion in different ways. So Yoga Maya arranges all of these different things. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Prabhupada explained that this was just part of his Leela, or his performance in the Leela of the Lord, and later on his actual personality revealed itself as the seventh Goswami, as he became known as the seventh Goswami. And so Prabhupada also, although he appeared in an ordinary family, well, a Vaishnava family, but it could be considered an ordinary family from some perspectives, but who he actually was, if we get a grasp of that and look into, just like when you go to see a play, you have the playbill, and you say this part is played by this person, and this part is played by this actor, etc., etc. Or is it even in the Leela of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was it that wrote the Gauna Deepika? Kavikarna Purna also did the same thing at the playbill of Chaitanya Leela. Who's who did who this person was in the spiritual world, etc. So Srila Prabhupada has an eternal identity in the spiritual world, and he came for a particular purpose. So I'm going to just read a couple of short things, and then I have to be off to the kitchen. Predictions. That's my dharma. Predictions of who Srila Prabhupada was. So I'm going to begin with Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who himself predicted a great personality. Very short quote here. Well, first let me read what he said. Alas, when will that day come when all greatly fortunate souls in countries such as England, France, Russia, Prussia, and America will take up banners, kettle drums, mridungas, and kartals, and thus cause the ecstatic waves of Harinam Kirtan and the singing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's holy name to rise in the streets of their towns and cities. Oh, when will that day come when pure and transcendental Krishna prema, love of God, will be the only religion of all souls, and all tiny sectarian religions will meet in the unlimited and universal religion of devotional service to Krishna as rivers merge into the great ocean. Oh, when will that day come? Very soon the chanting of Harinam Sankirtan will spread all over the world. Again, oh, when will that day come when people from America, England, France, Germany, Russia will take up kartals and mridungas and chant Hare Krishna in their towns? When will that day come when the fair-skinned foreigners will come to Sri Mayapur Dham and join with the Bengali Vaishnavas to chant Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana? When will that day come? And I'm looking for this quote. I don't seem to have it here. In any case, there's a quote from Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying that one day a great personality will come, will appear, who will spread the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. So he could envision this. He also, from the veranda of his house, he envisioned Mayapur city, and he had a vision of the great temple and of a beautiful city, and he saw the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing and chanting in that city. So who did all this? We know Srila Prabhupada did all this. He's the one who manifested that into reality. From the Chaitanya Mangala, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu foretells the appearance of an empowered devotee to spread the chanting of the Mahamantra worldwide. I want to flood the whole world with the chanting of the holy names. I will personally preach and flood India with Harinam Sankirtan. My Senapati Bhakta, commander-in-chief, will come, preach in distant countries, and flood the world with the chanting of Hare Krishna. That's Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So this is 500 years ago. We're going to go back to 5,000 years ago. And I'm sure there's many other, you were telling me 11th canto, the 11th canto, something that related to Srila Prabhupada, right? Maybe you can do the South Indian. Yeah, I don't remember. Anyway, you can say that. So this is from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana. Lord Krishna is speaking here to Ganga Devi, actually, personified Ganga Devi. On behalf of the sacred rivers Yamuna, Kaveri, Godavari, Sindhu, Saraswati, and Narmada, Ganga Devi says, Lord Krishna, we see that your pastimes are ending and that people are becoming more materialistic. After you leave, all the sinful people of Kali Yuga will take bath in our waters, and we will become overwhelmed with sinful reactions. Lord Krishna smiled and replied, be patient. After 5,000 years, my mantra upasaka, worshipper of the holy name, will appear and will spread the chanting of the holy name everywhere. Not only in India, but all over the world, people will chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By this chanting, the whole world will become Ekavarna, one class or designation, namely Hari Bhaktas, devotees of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Because the devotees of Hari are pure, Anyone who contacts them will become purified of sinful reactions. These pure devotees will visit India and purify you, he's speaking to the rivers, of your sinful reactions by bathing in your sacred waters. Be careful when you bathe in the waters of India, you're collecting all those sinful reactions. The people of worldwide chanting of the period of worldwide chanting of Hare Krishna will continue for how many years? 10,000 years. So we know Prabhupada said that his books would become the law books of mankind for 10,000 years. Here is the evidence, here is the proof. Prabhupada knew who he was and what his mission was, but he played a certain part. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Do you remember that story? Or?
There's a verse in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. There's a verse that Sunanda Prabhu was referring to in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam that says specifically devotees from South India will take birth in different places around the world and join Lord Chaitanya's movement to spread, or the movement to spread Krishna consciousness around the world.
Thank you again to Sunanda Prabhu. Haribol.
Haribol. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
In the kitchen, Nirkula Jagarini Mahaguna. Any of you ready? If so, please run in here as fast as you possibly can. I can hear them. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Text message just came in. Where are all the other microphones? Oh, there's one back there. Here we have one, Jai Jagadish Prabhu. Go ahead, Shraddha.
This is from Lavanya Mataji. Lavanya Mataji. Lavanya.
Lavanya.
Lavanya. So this is from earlier in the time, but my cell phone was being charged, so I'm sorry about that. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Danvat Pranam. I totally share Shamlangi Mataji's feeling when Shamlanji was saying that she's feeling very good in the morning today. The Janmashtami service somehow drains you, but you hold on because you know that tomorrow will be our day, when we get to celebrate our wonderful Acharya and hear from his disciples and our seniors, our family. The sweetest way to finish a wonderful 4 days of service. Thank you for recharging us, Gurudev. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai. Okay. Let's see. Kanka, please come up.
Thank you. Om Ganati Mirandasya Ganagana Salakaya Chakshura Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I want to tell Srila Prabhupada thank you so much for everything that you've given all of us. This morning I was in the kitchen doing kachoris and we were talking about how Srila Prabhupada was called Kachori Mukha, because his grandmother would make kachoris for him all the time, and he had a vest that he would wear, and the pockets, his grandmother would fill them with kachoris, so he would have kachoris all day long. And the devotees here are so wonderful that they always cook an amazing feast for Srila Prabhupada every year for the Vyasa Puja offering. Not only that, they're wonderful in many ways, and I feel so grateful that Srila Prabhupada has allowed me to come here. One of the devotees this morning said, were you ever there at a Vyasa Puja offering when Srila Prabhupada was there? And I was remembering the time when Srila Prabhupada came to New Vrindavan in 1972 for the Bhagavad Dharma courses. And he stayed for 2 weeks. Janmashtami and Vyasa Puja. So I was very fortunate to be there. I was spending the summer there actually making an outfit for Radha Vrindavan Chandra. And Srila Prabhupada, for Janmashtami, wanted to keep reading the Krishna book. And he would say, can we read another chapter? Let's read another chapter. And it was a small temple room, and there was a line of sannyasis, I think 3 on this side and 3 on this side, and their dandas were going like this, because everyone was getting tired. But Srila Prabhupada, you looked like you were in ecstasy. I still remember looking at your face, and you were just so happy listening to the pastimes of Krishna that they were reading out of the Krishna book. It was so wonderful. So the next day, the devotees wanted to carry Srila Prabhupada up we had built a structure on top of a hill behind the Bahulaban temple. And the devotees wanted to carry Srila Prabhupada up the hill in a palanquin, and he looked at the palanquin and he said, no. So Harigriva got his little yellow Volkswagen bug and drove Srila Prabhupada up, and that's how he would go up every day. But on Vyasa Puja day, Mangalananda made Srila Prabhupada a wonderful cake on a big tray. And Radha Damodar were there, Vishnu Jan Maharaj, the traveling parties were all there. It was a wonderful, wonderful Vyasa Puja offering, and Srila Prabhupada was very happy. And I remember when they offered the cake to Srila Prabhupada, and he said, this is very good. And he said, now distribute it to the devotees. But when they brought the tray down, the devotees just went, but I told Mangalananda just a few years ago, I still remember the taste of that cake. It was so good, so wonderful, and probably because of you, Srila Prabhupada, being there. So thank you again. One of the things, as I grow older, I realize how amazing more and more at your age to do what you did. And one of the things that I try to remember is how straight you would always sit and how straight you would walk. Because as we get older, we tend to go like this. And that's just one of the little things I'm so grateful for. But just amazing what you've done, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you.
Kanka Devi Dasi. I'll be right back. Well, we have some tissues now. That's a good sign. Or maybe not, I don't know. Kosha Rupa, would you please come up?
Srila Prabhupada, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadi Shatarine. I'm very happy to be here in the temple here. This is my first festival yesterday and today since you've all moved into this temple room. And it's really wonderful to get to see last night so many people coming and participating, and there was room for everyone. And the deities had their nice sacred space, and the Abhishekam was very wonderful. I was very happy to see. This past year, there's been a lot of close friends and other devotees that I've admired from a distance who've left this world. And when it was time to write my Vyasa Puja offering to Srila Prabhupada, I was just very meditating very deeply on that greatest of gifts that Srila Prabhupada has given us, how to live in this world and how to leave this world to actually achieve or fulfill the purpose of our human life. I was also working on a book for older children, summary of the Bhagavad Gita, and to really understand deeply the juncture that's been given to us with the human form of life, and how really the value of it, and not to be, for myself, not to get so distracted by the modes of material nature and the comings and goings of happiness and distress, but to have a much deeper perspective on what each and every day is for and how to progress. One friend actually that I knew from Laguna Beach just left his body last month, and he only had 6 weeks notice with his cancer. Very quick, and so somehow that's been on my mind this year so much. And I'm younger than most of my godbrothers and godsisters and husband and all of that, but I see that every day is precious, every moment is precious, every Mahamantra we're chanting is precious. And I've also had the good fortune to travel around the world vicariously through my husband, Haridas, and to see how Srila Prabhupada, your movement is spreading to every town and village in the most unlikely places, the most unlikely countries, Muslim countries, and how many people of all ages are coming and taking shelter of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. And what a great debt I have, we all have, to you, Srila Prabhupada, for inviting us into your, to share in your relationship with Lord Chaitanya and Radha Krishna. And the one god sister wrote a nice thing the other day in her Vyasa Puja offering, how Srila Prabhupada, you have the back key to Goloka Vrindavan. And I think that over and over again, every time I'm reading Srila Prabhupada's books or come to visit one of his temples, how I have no qualification and no, just like, what are the chances that this life can actually mean something? You look around and everywhere is suffering. There's so much suffering. Doesn't matter whether somebody's wealthy or famous or has beautiful children or highly educated, or it doesn't matter anymore. It's like Kali Yuga has speeded up to the point where whatever somebody has or doesn't have, they're suffering. And it's just, and I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, it just becomes more and more obvious, more and more acute to look everywhere and see the suffering. But I was thinking, wow, what you, Srila Prabhupada, saw. You came to America, and other immigrants came to America looking and seeing the streets lined with gold and everything so opulent, the land of opportunity. But you, Srila Prabhupada, you came to America, and you, whichever way you looked, whoever you met, you just saw how much we were suffering in the lap of Maya, and how illusioned we were and are, and how forgetful we are that we're here loitering in this material world without a clue of who we are and where we've come from and where we really belong. And the topmost, sweetest relationships that are there in Goloka Vrindavan with you and all of the Lord's eternal associates. And I'm very, very grateful to Kesava Bharati Maharaj and to Shiva Ramaswamy for opening the storehouse of nectar in all of these transcendental literatures. They give me great solace. And to be able to absorb our minds and our thoughts and our prayers in the spiritual world, and knowing that this is the gold mine, the end of the rainbow, the beginning of our greatest treasure. And to know that it's not just phantasmagoria, but rather our relationship with you, Srila Prabhupada, and with your eternal associates is for the rest of eternity, which is hard to fathom, and yet in our deepest part of our being, we know of its truth, and we know of its reality. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for giving this to all of us, and for giving us a society so that we have so many very, very special friends to chant and dance and hear and chant with for the rest of our lives. And thank you to all of you. Hare Krishna.
Kosha Rupa Devi Dasi. Haribol. Maguna. And we have tissues.
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutara Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gurvani Pacharani Nevise Sasanya Padi Paskacha Tarini. Thank you so much for this opportunity. For the first time ever that I had written something, so I don't have to come up with something very short. These are little realization I had recent days about Srila Prabhupada's books, and then about devotees that association that we have. Okay. And I have a confession to make. When I first came to ISB temple, I had to say I felt a little bit uncomfortable. I always thought this was due to my guilty feeling of shortcomings in service attitude and lack of love for Krishna and Prabhupada. It is that too, but more than that, I felt uncomfortable because everyone was always so nice and so respectful to me. I felt not worth receiving such loving treatment. But recently, I realized this was a kind of mistake, and I was totally on the Bharati platform. That's why I was feeling this way. And my husband, Sachadev, gives a class to Japanese devotees on Skype, and then I'm fortunate enough to translate it sometimes, time to time. And then he's been giving this class on King Prachina Bari and his son, Pracheta. And then, so there was a story about Prachetas, who were the sons of King Prachina Bari. And king was retiring from his position and had Prachetas take over kingdom. So they went under great penances underwater to purify themselves. In water they had repeated the prayer which was offered by Lord Shiva, who was their guru. Lord Vishnu was so pleased with this, appeared in front of them. Lord said that he was very pleased with their effort to perform devotional service together. And also, they repeated the prayer of great devotees like Lord Shiva. He said, whoever remembers Prachetas can be friendly with every living entities, even though they were offered any benediction they want. Their only wishes were to please the Lord. When a mind becomes so fulfilled with Krishna consciousness and desires only to please Guru and Krishna, one can become equal to all living entities. So from these stories, I learned three things. One is that Lord is very pleased with cooperative effort for devotional service. So when all the devotees are nice to me, it's natural that the devotees were realizing, we have to cooperate and work together. So it wasn't just for me to be nice, they were nice to everyone. And second thing was Krishna is pleased to see one is performing devotional service following footsteps of great personality. And great personality is always so humble and showing respect to others. So this is also natural. It's not that I'm a great devotee, but the act of respecting other devotees is natural for the devotees. And the last one was when you become fully Krishna consciousness, one can see everyone equal spiritually. So it really struck me that devotees are not seeing my personal deeds, nor my meager quality I may have or not may have. Rather, they saw my soul, who had moment association with pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. And I was undermining devotees' intention and their advanced position, and feeling sorry for myself. And they're simply seeing my soul and seeing Srila Prabhupada's glory through me, not my personal whatever I have. Of course, this realization made me even more a little depressing feeling of my fallen position. But at least I have such an advanced devotee association, and therefore maybe I have some hope of awakening because of this association. And on Srila Prabhupada books, there's so many deep topics and deep teachings that we can learn. I always kind of surf the surface of what Prabhupada said. But if you see little portion of what Prabhupada says in his books, there's such a deep meaning. And I really, really appreciate that, because I'm not a very good reader. And then I never was, that wasn't my forte, to read the books. But when you go really read and then, study it, the Prabhupada had already given us so many instructions and so many deep meanings that we miss so many times. So I really appreciate Prabhupada on that note, like renewed appreciation. I appreciated so many other aspects of Prabhupada also, but the books that he had given us is so much information to us, and then so much help for us. So I really thank you for Prabhupada for that, and then also giving us this great community of devotees, so somehow I can be helped. Thank you so much.
Maguna Devi Dasi, Haribol. Second year without a tissue. We're keeping score. Okay. Nirakula Devi Dasi, Hare Krishna.
Just in case. Just in case.
Is that enough?
Yeah. Actually, I was doing okay until I heard Mahaguna. Mahaguna's humility. I'm fortunate enough that I get to see her a little more often than, just for festivals. And I really relish her association and her humility, and it always comes out so nicely in her Vyasa Puja offering. Thank you. My dear Srila Prabhupada, I humbly offer my prostrated obeisances in the dust of your lotus feet. You are the direct manifestation of the immense compassion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. You are always engaged in his unalloyed devotional service, for you are his most dear and confidential servant. Almost 50 years ago, following the order of your Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, you selflessly set out for the West to give us the rare and precious gift of Sri Nam. By purely following his instruction, you met with all success. You fulfilled the prediction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that the holy name would be chanted in every town and village. One of the ways in which this prophecy has been fulfilled was by the establishment of the Rath Yatra festival on every continent around the world. Srila Prabhupada, this year, as I meditated on writing my offering, my thoughts turned to the many, many things for which I am deeply grateful to you. Today I would like to express especially my gratitude to you for bringing us Jagannath Balaram, Srimati Subhadra, along with the Rath Yatra. In the Lilamrita, Satsvarup Maharaj writes that as a very young child, you were enamored of the Rath Yatra festivals held in Calcutta, and you became determined to hold one of your own. With the help of your father, you restored and decorated a cart which had been given to you by a woman who was sympathetic to your mission. You engaged your father, mother, and sister, along with your friends and their families, in helping you to put on an 8-day festival. Dressed in a dhoti, under the glare of the Calcutta sun, you led the procession through the neighborhood while chanting Hare Krishna. You dressed your deities and offered bhoga and arti, and just as you had seen the adults do. Then you personally distributed prasadam that all the neighborhood mothers had made for the occasion. Who could have imagined that at the age when most men and women retire with plans to try and enjoy the last drops of material pleasures, you would introduce the Lord of the universe and the Festival of the Chariots to the West, and eventually to many of the major cities, as well as small towns around the world. It all started in San Francisco in 1967, and every year until Los Angeles held its first Rath Yatra in 1977, the devotees from Southern California would travel en masse north to San Francisco to attend the festival. In the summer of 1973, several of us piled into a van, which had no seats except for the driver and front passenger, to make the long trip from Los Angeles to San Francisco to take part in Rath Yatra at Golden Gate Park. We arrived at the temple on Valencia Street late in the day, weary, yet terribly excited. So we took prasadam and the women made our way downstairs to the ashram, where we found a spot on the floor just big enough to roll out our sleeping bags. The temple building was filled to the rafters. Devotees were asleep in the halls, on the stairways, and anywhere they could find a spot big enough to lie or sit. It was chaotic, but everyone was blissful. Once at the park, hundreds of your disciples, along with many other fortunate souls, danced, chanted, and pulled the magnificent carts carrying their lordships towards the ocean. We arrived at the grassy field where the stage and booths were set up, and there your ardent followers drew the gobsmacked bystanders in by distributing your books and prasadam. For hours we chanted, danced, and took prasadam. It was my first Rath Yatra experience, and I was hooked. This year marked the 38th annual Rath Yatra in Los Angeles, and each year it gets sweeter. I see how this one festival, wherever and whenever it's held, has the potential to unite the devotees and increase our attachment to all the services that you have given us. And just as all those years ago, devotees traveled to San Francisco, this year about 100 devotees from our ISV community loaded into a bus, cars, or vans to make the trek down to LA. They came eager to do service. I can do this. Making garlands, helping in the kitchen, and the big yagya of packing, and distributing more than 20,000 books. They are a devotee group whose presence was noticed and deeply appreciated. We also had a contingency of enthusiastic young bhaktas and bhaktins from the new ashram in Long Beach come help with the preparations. It was exciting to see them experience their first Rath Yatra and to get a taste for the service and association this event provides. This year, your beloved son, this year was your beloved son, Madhudvisa Prabhu's last Rath Yatra in that body. He had been very ill with congestive heart failure for several months, but he had a very, very strong desire to attend one more Rath Yatra. He rallied so that he was able to give a wonderful class on the Chaitanya Charitamrita during the week, and then he actually came in a wheelchair, pushed by one of his sons, and led kirtan in front of each cart. He passed from this world 2 days later. Srila Prabhupada, you emphasized the importance of cooperation amongst your followers, and these Rath Yatra festivals provide the perfect circumstances for us to practice this instruction. I am in awe and humbled by the dedication and collaboration of the team of devotees in LA who work year-round to bring the Rath Yatra to the very degraded venue of Venice Beach. On this anniversary of your divine appearance, I beg you to please always keep me close to you in the association of your loyal and steadfast devotees. Please help me in my endeavor to understand your purports. Without your blessings, they are simply words on a page. As a father doesn't take seriously the offenses of his child, please always forgive my unintentioned offenses, and please correct me and protect me. Please help me to become fearless in the execution of my service to you. My heartfelt desire in life is that I may someday please you by assisting you in your service to your Guru Maharaj. O most merciful Master, I am yours eternally to do as you like. Please do whatever you deem necessary in order to make fit this unqualified soul. Your eternally grateful daughter. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Nirakula. Jagarini?
Hare Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharne Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatarne. Unfortunately, so as to not bore you for too long, I attempted to write my offering this year, and I kept getting interrupted, or I kept allowing myself to go with the interruptions. So I managed to come up with things that I wanted to write about, and I never could put it all together, so I'll try and be brief. I was thinking about point of view, perspective, and how influential our perspective is for our whole life. It's, you know, two people can grow up in the same household and have the same parents and have a completely different take on what it was like growing up. And we're all individuals, everybody's got their own perspective. It affects everything. I was thinking about that in terms of course, whenever Srila Prabhupada's appearance day comes around, gratitude is the word of the day. It's something that you just can't help but kind of feel so much of that you can't really quite express it. So there's so many different ways of things you can realize to be grateful for. So perspective was one theme I was thinking of, and how it affects everything about your life. And how Srila Prabhupada, in giving us, the holy name and his books and his loving teachings, changed our perspective. So the way we accept and reject and go through life is completely different than the person right next to you in your office or in the classroom outside of this temple, the non-devotees. You could be doing the same thing that they're doing, but you have a different perspective, and your perspective, it affects your health, it affects your well-being, it affects your thoughts lead to action and choice, and ultimately the future that you make for yourself. So just by Srila Prabhupada's, well, I shouldn't say just by, because he worked so hard on his books, but his lectures, his classes, his simple, and when Prabhupada was here, he would repeat things over and over again, very simple things. He'd repeat them over and over again. Always remember Krishna, never forget him. You're not that body. Chant, chant, chant. These things that he repeated over and over again. And they, for myself, Srila Prabhupada, I'm so grateful because I'm programmed. You've deprogrammed me and reprogrammed me. I am brainwashed, or better than that, mind-washed. It's a fact. They said it was that way, and it really is true. And actually, this year, things have come up in my personal life this year that were things to get through, a little bit of trouble. And I noticed myself answering. Devotee would ask, well, how are you doing? How are you getting through this? And I just answered by saying, is there a choice? I mean, my mind is so programmed to see things philosophically that, no matter what happens, there's an answer for it, and there's a strength behind it. And sometimes we take that for granted because we live with each other and we're around each other all the time. But the whole world out there are taking lots of drugs, and they're filling the bars, and they're they're just really stressed out over things that, and where we might complain a little here and there, but we're chanting Hare Krishna and we're happy. I mean, we're getting through it, and we're thinking of Prabhupada and going to Rath Yatra and Janmashtami and Vyasa Puja, and now another Rath Yatra, and it's just a wonderful life. And that brings me to the next thing I wrote, that I was going to try and write something about being grateful for. was the quality of life. And I was trying to be creative, so I was doing it in a way that I said, Prabhupada, you taught me how to enjoy. Actually, Srila Prabhupada taught us how to enjoy. He gave us a life of color and fragrance and fabulous foodstuffs and friends from around the world that lasting friendships. Do you know how rare lasting friendships are? When I meet strangers and I'm with some devotee friend and they say, how long have you known each other? And I say, 30 years. What? Really? It's these things these gifts that we've been given are, there's really no words to thank Srila Prabhupada for all of this, for the quality of life that we have because of him. So on this wonderful day of your appearance, Srila Prabhupada, and before I finish, I have to also say to end up at ISV is super magical. Because I think of it, how Srila Prabhupada says, out of thousands of devotees, 10 will be like this, and then out of those 10, 5 will be like this, and out of those 5. When I think of temples, I think like that, and I think this is the one. This is such an exemplary place. It's an exemplary place. It's a showpiece for Srila Prabhupada, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, and I beg that you keep me in the shelter of your lotus feet forever. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Jagarini. Kesha Bharati Maharaj.
Vaisesika Prabhu changed me up this morning. Usually we speak first, and then I can feel relieved that you don't have to hear me after hearing all of that personal, loving, sweet, juicy stuff. Now here I sit, so I'm exposed for what I am. Dry, whatever, in His infinite wisdom. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatadani. Dearest Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances in the dust of your lotus feet. All glories to your divine grace. Decades of offerings. What more can I say to glorify you who have given me real life? Srila Prabhupada, you picked me up more than 42 years ago, degraded as I was, and immediately gave me the faint dawn of attachment for hearing and explaining the Bhagavad Gita as it is. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna's direct teachings, elucidated by your divine purports. Despite my total lack of qualification, you also gave me a glimmer of attachment for hearing and chanting the holy names and activities of the Supreme Lord and His pure devotees in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. In short, you performed the miracle of giving me a hint of attachment for you and your transcendental books,
even before I had a chance to do much of anything to please you. Therefore, you cannot be an ordinary spiritual master. In performing this miracle, and thousands more like it, you showed the true meaning of humility. You refused to take an ounce of credit for single-handedly and unprecedentedly carrying pure love for Krishna out of India to every continent on earth, a gift you delivered in 3 packages: the devotee Bhagavat, your divine self; the book Bhagavat, your transcendental literatures; and the society of your disciples and followers you called ISKCON, which you define as a branch of the Chaitanya tree and as an incarnation of Sri Krishna. And you gave the credit for all these miracles to your spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The one credit you did accept was that you did not add anything to or subtract anything from Krishna's message. Rather, you delivered the pure teachings of Lord Chaitanya just as your spiritual master had delivered them to you. What's more, you repeatedly told us that you did all this to please your spiritual master because his order was your life and soul. And unlike others, you were happy that your society became known not by your name, but by Krishna's, as the Hare Krishna movement. Even more miraculous was that you adjusted things according to time and circumstance to transplant the Vedic culture's core values into foreign lands without compromising those values. And yet even more miraculous was that you also gave credit to your Western disciples. You said, quote, "I have to thank you. It is all due to you. It is not my credit, but it is your credit that you are helping me in executing the order of my Guru Maharaj." In all these ways, you showed us the symptoms of true humility, selfless service, and unconditional love. Such humility born of pure love is not of this world. Narada Muni describes this kind of humility. Wise men define dainya, utter humility, as the state in which one always thinks oneself exceptionally incapable and low, even when endowed with all excellences. Srila Sanatana Goswami elaborates on this verse in his commentary. Narada's own definition of dainya distinguishes his use of the word from other possible meanings, such as poverty, becoming selfless by not accepting charity, and being free from egotism. Someone might say that the quality of thinking oneself very fallen may also be seen in persons who are simply lazy, or those who abandon auspicious work, or indulge in sinful acts. Therefore, Narada specifies that one who actually has dainya is endowed with all good qualities. For instance, such a person observes positive and negative regulations. He is free of false ego, and he has a healthy fear of material life. Narada then goes on to say, an intelligent person should carefully cultivate speech, behavior, and thinking that fix him in utter humility, and anything that stands in the way of it, he should avoid. Sanatana Goswami comments, ordinary dainya can be developed by human effort, but there is also a type of dainya beyond the mundane that comes from receiving the Supreme Lord's favor. The word tu in this verse contrasts these distinct kinds of dainya. Almost everyone in the material world is separated from Krishna, but most people never experience dainya because they have no prema. Therefore, they can never become free from suffering and attain true happiness. To achieve transcendental dainya, one must learn to love Krishna in the mood felt by the gopis, led by Sri Radha, when Krishna left them to go to Mathura. We can understand from the example of the gopis' viraha bhav, their feelings of love and separation, that this special dainya arises only when, by Sri Krishna's exceptional mercy, a devotee who has realized Krishna's sweetness develops extraordinary prema in his heart in the mood of separation. As prema appears in degrees of excellence, so does dainya. In the heat of distributing Krishna consciousness in the West, you once confirmed that our effort to assist you in spreading the Sankirtan movement in the forms of congregational chanting of the Mahamantra and the distribution of your transcendental literature is in fact Lord Chaitanya's Leela. And because Lord Chaitanya is Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani, spreading the Sankirtan movement can also be compared to the gopis helping Krishna. The explanation given by, this is a quote from Srila Prabhupada, the explanation given by Rameshwar that Sankirtan to Lord Chaitanya's Leela, which he compares to the gopis trying to engage in Krishna's service, is the correct understanding. Srila Prabhupada, now your disciples and grand disciples and followers stand at the threshold of more unprecedented service. On your order to preserve your mood and the activities you emphasized in your mission, as you preserve those of your spiritual masters, by cooperating in the face of difficulties and disagreement, and continuing to distribute your gifts to the world. This, you told us, was a difference between the spiritual and material worlds. In the spiritual world, disagreement results in cooperation. In the material world, disintegration. Just before you left this world, you taught us how this level of cooperation could be achieved. You said that the test of our love for you would be in how well we cooperate to keep your movement together. In short, in other words, you tied the success of your movement to the awakening of our love for you. You imbued us with love for you, and then told us to love you by loving one another. And you wanted us to show you that love practically by taking this order as our life and soul. And what exactly is that order? To cooperate, of course. But what is our cooperative effort meant to do? In 1977, the last year you were with us physically, you dictated your Bhaktivedanta purports to the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam's 10th canto. This transcendental gem came out through your lotus lips, a gem that encapsulates the order that we, your disciples and followers, must make our life and soul in order to show our love for you. Translation: even while engaged in various activities, devotees whose minds are completely absorbed in your lotus feet and who constantly hear, chant, contemplate, and cause others to remember your transcendental names and forms are always on the transcendental platform, and thus they can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. An excerpt from this purport. The word kriyasu, meaning by manual labor or by work, is important in this verse. One should engage in practical service to the Lord. In our Krishna consciousness movement, all our activities are concentrated on distributing Krishna literature. This is very important. One may approach any person and induce him to read Krishna literature so that in the future he also may become a devotee. Such activities are recommended in this verse. Kriyasu yat tvach charanada vindyo. Such activities will always remind the devotees of the Lord's lotus feet. By fully concentrating on distributing books for Krishna, one is fully absorbed in Krishna. This is samadhi. Srila Prabhupada, you insisted that we keep you in the center as the founder Acharya of ISKCON. By your will, the leaders of ISKCON are feeling of late the intense need to ensure that this awareness be acknowledged, more deeply understood, and embraced, so that your mood and style may pervade ISKCON for as long as it exists. When you were physically present, Vapu, you were the absolute authority of ISKCON, superior even to the ultimate managing authority you created, the GBC. Now you remain the absolute authority, but in the form of your instructions, Vani. The need, therefore, to take shelter of your Vani before making any decisions, individual or collective, should be felt intensely, now more than ever, by anyone connected to ISKCON, especially its leaders. My prayer to you, Srila Prabhupada, on this holy day of your appearance, is that you continue to shower your mercy on us all, so that we may keep you in the center by following your lead, especially in terms of your mood and emphasis in our practical preaching as expressed by you in the above purport. There may be things that must change with time, for that is the nature of time. But your mood and emphasis on making sure that you and your books remain at the center of our lives, and especially that your books are visible at all our preaching events, must not change. Your spiritual vision and attitudes are based on axiomatic spiritual principles given to human society by the Supreme Lord Krishna himself. In fact, you pass down to us the highest axiomatic truth, through which all seemingly contradictory concepts can be reconciled. This truth, achintya vedha veda tattva, that the absolute truth is inconceivably one with and different from everything else, is the ultimate philosophical conclusion. It was taught originally by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, the most munificent form of the Lord, and pervades his Sankirtan movement. You asked your leaders, GBC members, along with senior devotees, to meet each year in Mayapur and discuss unity in diversity, an English phrase that succinctly expresses this highest axiomatic principle. The assimilation of this truth will make our cooperation possible, even in this age of quarrel. Srila Sanatana Goswami applies this truth in relation to humility and love. Translation: when dainya fully matures, prema unfolds without limit. And so we see dainya and prema acting in a relationship in which each is both cause and effect. Commentary: if prema is supposed to be the final result of all devotional endeavors, how can dainya be a consequence of prema? In answer, yes. Prema is the final goal, but dainya is not altogether different from prema. Dainya is an integral component of prema, and both foster one another. Thus, inconceivably, humility and love are qualitatively one. In short, you can't have one without the other. And you yourself apply the same truth in relation to obedience and love. Quote by Prabhupada: we are persons, And Krishna is a person. And our relationship with Krishna is always open, as a voluntary agreement. That voluntary attitude, yes, Krishna, I shall gladly cooperate, whatever you say, that ready willingness to obey is only possible if there is love. Forcing will not make me agree. But if there is love, oh, I shall gladly do it. That is bhakti. That is Krishna consciousness. Thus, inconceivably, obedience and love are also qualitatively one, and one can't be sustained without the other. Srila Prabhupada, we can assimilate this axiomatic principle only by following your example, by doing what you asked us to do, by making your order our life and soul. You fully assimilated into your character these truths, showing us how to make even your spiritual master's subtlest orders your life and soul. What follows is but a small sample of aphorisms spoken by your Guru Maharaj. These aphorisms embody fundamentals you perfectly applied, principles that provide guiding light to help us practically apply this axiomatic truth, unity in diversity. Let me not desire anything but the highest good for my worst enemies. Be indifferent to bizarre gossips. Stick firmly to your cherished goals. No lack or impediments of the world will ever stand in your way. In this world of Maya, averse to the Lord, full of trials and tribulations, only patience, humility, and respect for others are our friends for Hari Bhajan. The Lord, Gaurasundar, puts his devotees into various difficulties and associations to test their patience and strength of mind. Success depends on their good fortune. When faults in others misguide and delude you, have patience, introspect, find faults in yourself. Know that others cannot harm you unless you harm yourself. I wish that every selfless, tender-hearted person of Gaudiya Math will be prepared to shed 200 gallons of blood for the nourishment of the spiritual corpus of every individual of this world. Srila Prabhupada, you picked me up and bound me. Srila Prabhupada, you picked me up and bound me with the ropes of your humility, obedience, and love. Please keep me bound forever, aspiring to be your eternal servant. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Kesava Maharaj. Satyadev Prabhu.
I'm going to sit up straight. Sit properly. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. Hare Krishna. That's the second mantra that I ever learned. The first mantra was the Hare Krishna mantra, and then I learned that mantra. whenever not only when I sit down to write the Vyasa Puja, but I think I often have conversations in my head with Srila Prabhupada. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? I can't understand this. Can you please send me some light? Then I let it go, and sometimes I get an answer and sometimes I don't. But I'm usually in the room with him after he's taken prasadam, and at that time, after he's fully satisfied, I feel it's safe to go in and have a conversation. So, so here it is today. Dear Srila Prabhupada, it seems like every year when I sit down to write an offering to you, I feel the same initial anxiety of overwhelm and bewilderment. As I start to contemplate your causeless mercy and all the gifts that I have received and continue to receive from you, I feel stunned by the sheer volume of your glories, to the point where I am unable to focus on any one particular aspect of your blessings upon us. It's a sweet, pleasing sense of overwhelm, though, because underlying foundationally, the feeling is gratefulness towards you. I used to experience a similar but not so sweet feeling of bewilderment at my former job. Upon arriving at the scene of an emergency, which was often a situation full of known and unknown danger and chaos, momentarily I would feel anxious and paralyzed to act. Perhaps it was information overload flooding my senses. I would take a deep breath and focus first on the situation of the scene. Is it safe? And from there, I could take in the view of the larger picture of the incident. After scanning the big scene, I could move on to take up the immediate task at hand. Similarly, when I gaze at the bookcase filled with all your books, with a sense of amazement, I also feel a kind of overwhelm to a point of distraction and paralysis. It's like, whoa. Maybe it's my Kali Yuga brain, or perhaps I have attention deficit disorder. But I begin to wonder, where do I start to read? I feel inadequate and unable to approach, what to speak of absorb, the immense quantity of transcendental knowledge you have given to us. Your books contain the most rare and detailed information, complete with your realized explanations on Ishvara, Jiva, time, nature, karma, topics that have bewildered the greatest thinkers. How will I ever become qualified to deeply assimilate all the precious spiritual gems of knowledge you have kindly bestowed to the world of humanity? The Shastras proclaim that knowledge of the Lord and His abode is only revealed to a surrendered soul. Then I relax. Then I relax knowing that I know you and your teachings do not depend upon my tiny intellect, but rather upon my fully trusting and obeying you. In other words, understanding these transcendental teachings don't depend on my tiny intellect. They depend on my obedience and trust in you, Srila Prabhupada. Then, with a grateful heart, I electronically open my iPad to your Bhagavad Gita as it is, which contains the essence of all Vedic knowledge and is the best place for me to start to take up this task of assimilating your sacred teachings. As I begin to read, I experience my consciousness entering into the Ganga-like river of nectar of Krishna's song, flowing along with your Bhaktivedanta purports. It never fails. Right away, I experience that the haze of my bewilderment turns into clarity and peace and gratitude. My attention has now shifted from the illusory world of the mind, of opinions and speculations, to real world of the Atma, where certainty of the soul's eternal relationship with the Supreme Transcendence, Sri Krishna, manifests as a direct knowing of the truth of life. The Bhagavatam says, in the age of Kali, all humans are feeling overwhelmed and distracted. My dear friend and godbrother Vaisesika Prabhu once told me that a devotee had asked him, the digital computer revolution has had such a profound impact on modern society. Why isn't this technology, this technological phenomenon, mentioned in the Bhagavatam? Vaisesika Prabhu said that at that particular moment, he did not have an answer to this devotee's reasonable question. But after some days, the answer came to him as he was engaged in book distribution at the San Francisco airport. While on book distribution, Vaisesika Prabhu observed that sometimes it was difficult to catch the public's attention as they walked by him because almost everyone was distractedly absorbed in looking at their cell phones, even while they were hurriedly walking here and there to catch their plane. I lost my space here. Vaisesika Prabhu told me that in fact, the Bhagavatam does foretell that in the age of Kali, people will be disturbed and distracted. It's there. It seems electronic gadgets and the internet have hijacked the collective human consciousness as Kali Yuga marches on. It's amazing. In Japan, they're more technologically advanced, and you go into a tracked pain car, a packed commuter train, and everyone is at their cell phone, totally spaced out. Lord Gauranga spread his message and captivated the mass mind of people of his time by the method of congregational chanting in which many mridanga drums were employed. During Mahaprabhu's time on earth, the printing press was also being developed in Europe. The press, as it was called, was about to radically change the lives of common people and how they were informed. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati marveled at how the mass production of the printed word, such as publications of daily newspapers and mundane novels, had corralled the consciousness of the men and women throughout the world of his time. Therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta declared that the printing of literature that contained the transcendental glories of Godhead was the Brihat Mridanga of the modern era. Just as the printed words of Karl Marx, his Communist Manifesto, created a social, economic revolution in the landscape of the 19th and 20th century, the mass publication of Srimad Bhagavatam in the English language could potentially create a spiritual revolution in the human consciousness of modern man. On your spiritual master's order, with one pointed attention, you personally translated into English and published and distributed Srimad Bhagavatam to whoever you met. You inspired your dedicated followers to do the same. And by your word and precept, To the present day, your followers all over the world are actively continuing to assist you in the glorious effort of transcendental book distribution, which benedicts all who receive your books with the highest knowledge of pure love of God and eradicates all suffering born of ignorance. In recent times, another revolution has rapidly been developing that is dramatically changing the way in which masses of people receive information, which is called the Internet. As a result of the Internet, people more and more are opting to read electronic word as opposed to the printed word. Newspaper companies that had been in business for hundreds of years are now closing, along with large-scale bookstore chains, due to lack of readership. Even the all-powerful TV conglomerates, who from the 50s held absolute influence over the mass of people, are feeling threatened as more and more people cut their cable in favor of the Internet as their preferred source of information. Worldwide, folks choose to click on Google, Yahoo, and other search engines to access the information of their fancy. The enormous amount of information available to the modern person now at the click of a mouse was inconceivable even 10 years ago. The power of the Internet is very seductive. Just as the conditioned soul's consciousness is distracted and absorbed into the illusory world of the mind, the attention of today's people is distracted and absorbed into the virtual world of the Internet. Even though the Internet is a cloudy place, it does have a silver lining. The Internet may even be the current Brihat Mridanga. The Internet monitors the interests and habits of each individual user and then sends advertisements based on the detected preferences of the user, isn't it? If an Internet user is searching for information about fine wine, for example, the Internet observes the desire of the user and begins to send information and attractive notices about fine wines. What does this big brother aspect of the Internet have to do with transcendental book distribution? Srila Prabhupada, as your followers begin to invest their focus, time, and effort to expand distribution of your teachings via the Internet will become one of your trusted book distributors. For the Internet is able to sort through the masses of Internet users and target those individuals who are receptive to the message of Godhead and are eager to have the association of your divine grace. In this way, the greatly overwhelmed, distracted, and disturbed residents of Kali Yuga may come under your shelter as your followers learn to dovetail the Internet for the service of the Lord. I humbly pray all living beings receive the shelter of your lotus feet in the form of transcendental words emanating from your lotus mouth, whether the holy vibration descends through the ether as physical sound, or the printed word on paper, or an electronic impression. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada, your fallen servant, Satyadev Das. I'd just like to say, I'm also, especially this year, for some reason, I'm resonating with the loss of so many God brothers. And as everyone was saying, Namo Vishnu Padaya, I was remembering, because I first met Srila Prabhupada on his Vyasa Puja day in 1970. And I first came to the temple on Janmashtami. And I didn't know anything about Krishna consciousness, and I hadn't read any books or anything. So I did see the devotees chanting once at the Altamont rock concert in 1969, but it was very, very brief, and I was heavily under the influence. But anyway, when Prabhupada came to the temple for Vyasa Puja, Sudama gave me the garland to put on him as he got out of his car and he was going to enter the temple. And when I paid my obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, I had a realization, I guess. Something became real in my experience. Because on the way to Japan, as I was going to Japan, I was deeply searching for some guidance, and I was chanting some Buddhist mantras, and I was praying to God. I didn't know it was Krishna, but to whoever was bigger than me, please give me some guidance. I want to see you. I don't know what to do. I've had it. There's nothing else, you know. I'm not interested in anything else. Of course, I had all kinds of other interests, but it was my heartfelt prayer, but I really felt I needed a guide. And at that moment, when I bowed down to Srila Prabhupada, I realized that God at that time was fulfilling my desire. And then the next day after Vyasa Puja, I told Sudama, he was the temple president of Tokyo, I told Sudama my experience. I said that I've been searching for God, I've been searching for a guide, and I feel like Srila Prabhupada is the answer. I feel like God brought me to him, or brought him to me. And what do I do next? And then he brought me into the temple room and he wrote down, there was no songbooks or anything. I learned all the songs by listening to a record album that had come out. There wasn't even no tape decks then. But anyway, he wrote down the prayer, Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarani. He said, you can chant this mantra and you can associate with Srila Prabhupada and fully take shelter of him, and he will guide you and protect you. And so I learned that mantra. And I just want to say that I look back at these devotees that I first met. There was Sudama, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Madhumisa Maharaj at the time. He was one of the first sannyasis. Kartikeya Maharaj, they were first sannyasis. Tamal wasn't a sannyasi at that time. Devananda, Swami, Borijan, Amoga, Satyabrata, and Chintamani, Devidasi. And of all those devotees, at least I know half have left. And even from that time until now, my spiritual life and my connection to Srila Prabhupada has come through them, through their dedication, I feed off, I'm like a leech. I'm just feeding off whatever they're tasting, whatever they're realizing, and that's enough to keep me going and somehow keep me within the orbit and not flying out somewhere beyond the gravitational pull of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. So I want to also thank those departed Vaishnavas and the living Vaishnavas, and also the younger generation is now especially my inspiration. When I see others taking up Krishna consciousness and appreciating Srila Prabhupada in this knowledge, it keeps me going. So Jai Srila Prabhupada and Jai all Vaishnavas.
Just sorry for the interruption, just a quick announcement. There are 2 cars in the parking lot they need to be moved out of the parking lot to make arrangements for the prasadam there. One is Toyota Corolla nameplate 4CDA296. The second one is Ford nameplate 6ZOA473. Please move these cars out of the parking lot from the temple. We need space there to serve prasadam.
And there's a lot of parking now available because of 9 to 11 restriction.
Thank you.
Car safe on the other side of the screen? 85% safe. Okay. We're going to need a little space around Prabhupada's Vyasa. So everyone can make a wide berth around that. Move, if you're there, move to another part of the universe, because they're going to need to have, they're going to put the offering before Prabhupada and then stretch a cloth, and if you move when they come in, then it'll be disturbance. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the offering from all of you. I wrote on your behalf. I hope you don't mind. But I'm very happy it's in the book because of travels and other commitments. I got it in at the very last moment, and Dravida Prabhu wrote me back and said, I don't think it's going to make it this time, Vaish. But I got the advanced copy and noticed it's still here, so. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept our humble obeisances in the dust of your lotus feet. There is growing concern in the world about economic inequality, the rapidly widening gap between the rich and the poor. A January 2014 report by Oxfam claims that the combined assets of just 85 individuals is equal to the wealth of the bottom 50% of the world's population, or about 3.5 billion people. What these statistics don't show, however, is that 99.99% of the world's population is spiritually poor. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami tells how real wealth is to be measured. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy, of the many capitalists who possess great riches, who is the topmost? Ramananda Roy replied, he who is richest in love for Radha and Krishna is the greatest capitalist. Srila Prabhupada, you came to make people truly wealthy by distributing the Srimad Bhagavatam, which removes all obstacles on the spiritual path and awakens pure love for Krishna in the hearts of those who regularly hear from it. Because of your campaign, people will soon come to know that Srimad Bhagavatam is more valuable than all the wealth of Kuvera, the heavenly treasure, what to speak of the combined assets of the world's richest 85 people. Factually, no one can fathom the value of Srimad Bhagavatam because it is Krishna himself. Srila Prabhupada, when you first entered the United States, you wrote on your customs form, that your cargo, 200 sets of first canto Srimad Bhagavatam volumes, were meant as quote-unquote gifts. For this reason, the customs officials allowed you to bring in your Srimad Bhagavatam duty-free. Had the customs officials known the real value of your payload, they would have been shocked. Inspired by how you painstakingly imported these treasures to the shores of America, Srila Prabhupada, the devotees at ISKCON of Silicon Valley, ISV, have been enthusiastically going door to door to distribute them. In the course of our canvassing, some friendly people invite us into their homes and give us an opportunity to introduce them to the Srimad Bhagavatam. As we do so, we realize the great challenge you wrote about while aboard the Jaladuta en route to America. Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. In Book 3, Chapter 25 of Plato's Republic, Socrates compares this material universe to a cave and the residents of the material world to cave dwellers chained by their legs and necks so they can't go out. The cave dwellers are habituated to living in darkness and take the confines of the cave and the shadows flickering on the cave's walls as ultimate reality. When someone comes to bring a cave dweller outside into the world of light, the cave dweller protests, "My cave is the only reality." He may even become violent toward his liberator. Socrates says that liberators should take only gradual steps in teaching cave dwellers about the greater world outside their caves. For if one is too abrupt, the cave dweller will be overwhelmed and reject one's help altogether. As we enter the various cave-like dwellings that are people's homes, we face the daunting task of convincing our hosts that we have brought them something of great value. This is a challenging task because our hosts often listen to us just to be polite, while secretly hoping that we will soon leave so they can go back to watching television. Or they offer myriad objections to accepting the books, most commonly saying that they have no time to read. Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna's incarnation in Kali Yuga, but because people are in ignorance, they feel we are trying to burden them with something that will only take up valuable space in their homes. However, we know that if they take Srimad Bhagavatam, it will become their most valuable possession by far. To interest them in reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we tell them some of its stories, like how a Brahmin boy cursed the saintly emperor of the world, Parikshit, to die within 7 days. How Emperor Parikshit accepted the curse and gave up his kingdom to sit down on the bank of the Ganges to prepare himself for death, and how by God's arrangement, the fully enlightened adolescent boy, Shukadeva Goswami, arrived just in time to teach Parikshit how to prepare himself for going back to Godhead upon leaving his body. We also remind them that we are all in a situation similar to Emperor Parikshit's, since every one of us will soon face death. While presenting the Bhagavatam, we remember how you began writing your Bhagavatam purports in Vrindavan, how you personally distributed your books in India, how you brought hundreds of sets of the first canto with you to America aboard the Jaladuta, and how you even sold a set to the Jaladuta's captain. We remember how upon your arrival in America, you tirelessly translated and wrote purports to each successive canto, pausing only long enough to write a summary of the all-important 10th canto, your famous Krishna book. Remembering all this, we coax, encourage, flatter, smile, frown, and try anything to convince our hosts to buy the Srimad Bhagavatam and keep it in their homes. We also introduced your Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and explained how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the golden avatar of Krishna, who taught the blissful path of Sankirtan, which leads to perfection. We tell how Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is the most esoteric and highly advanced spiritual book in the world, and that it is very rare. When people do buy a set of Srimad Bhagavatam or Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita volumes, we perform an installation ceremony for the books as follows. First, we place the books on a prominent shelf in their homes and decorate them with flowers. Next, we perform an arti to the books while doing kirtan. Finally, we pass around the first volume of the Srimad Bhagavatam and ask everyone in the family to read one paragraph aloud. In this way, everyone present personally reads from the book. Throughout the ceremony, we see how the recipients have become attentive after paying their hard-earned money for the books, and that by reading them aloud, everyone present is promoted to the mode of goodness and beyond just by hearing the nectarian vibration of your books. Aboard the Jaladuta, you wrote, "The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation, and if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message." Such sober persons are rare. But because you have instructed us to see to it that, quote, every respectable person receive a full set of Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita in his home, unquote, we continue to search for these respectable people. And when one of them accepts the Srimad Bhagavatam or Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we know that we've given them the startup capital they'll need to develop their own spiritual enterprise and someday even make the journey back to Godhead. To help these fortunate recipients take advantage of their newly found wealth, we also leave them with a simple chart that shows how many pages they can read each day to complete each set of books in a fixed period of time. For example, if they daily read 41 pages of your Srimad Bhagavatam, they can finish all 12 cantos in just 1 year. Or if they choose to read just 8 pages a day, they will finish the Srimad Bhagavatam in 5 years. In America, people who win lots of money in a state lottery are invited to attend a meeting of other newly made lottery millionaires. We similarly invite all the new Srimad Bhagavatam owners to a gathering in their neighborhood, considering that they have won the spiritual lottery by purchasing your Bhagavatam set. Many people enthusiastically attend these meetings, their lives having been uplifted by Lord Krishna moving into their homes in his literary incarnation. You once said, "When one book is published, I think I have conquered an empire." When we sell a full set of your Srimad Bhagavatam or Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita volumes, Srila Prabhupada, we declare a similar victory. Regarding the conquering of empires, in a dialogue with some of your disciples, you asked them not to make you like Alexander the Great, who conquered many kingdoms, but who then moved on so quickly to conquer other kingdoms that he lost control of the ones he'd already conquered. You say that you are concerned that by opening too many temples too quickly without proper management, they will likely fall apart. Continuing the dialogue, you say, "I am stressing, therefore, book selling because it is permanent." Appreciating your point, your main interlocutor in the conversation, Tamal Krishna Goswami, responds, "Once a devotee sells one of your books, the book will act. The book establishes itself as a deity within a person's home." "Yes," you reply. As our devotees install more and more of these special deities in people's homes, we feel your mercy empowering us in all our important services to you at ISV. To name only a few, dozens of our devotees have now passed the Bhakti Shastri course, and many more are taking it. Classes for children are swelling. Deity worship and cooking standards are increasing. Outreach programs at universities, corporations, and homes are expanding. Our internet broadcasts are becoming more refined. Our new temple team is making our new temple increasingly more beautiful and efficient, and there is much more. But perhaps best of all, the devotees in our community are fond of one another and remain united in their goal to please you. We are therefore the most grateful recipients of the spiritual wealth you have bequeathed to us on behalf of the greatest of all venture capitalists, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraj Goswami writes, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a wealthy capitalist possessing the touchstone of love of God. Not considering whether one is a proper or improper recipient, he gives his treasure to anyone and everyone. Thus, he is the most munificent. We pray to increase the spiritual wealth you've given us by engaging more people in reading and distributing your Srimad Bhagavatam and in broadcasting the holy names of Krishna. Please bless us on your divine appearance day so that we may continue to assist you in bringing the greatest spiritual fortune and affluence to all the people of Silicon Valley and beyond. Your servants at ISKCON of Silicon Valley, California, USA. And after a year's worth of sacrifices, if we add them all up, what we've done together, we can maybe calculate with some kind of a meter how much anxiety we've been in spiritually, how much tension there's been to make goals, to overcome daily problems, personality conflicts that come up regularly everywhere in the material world. And in those sacrifices, overcoming those for the higher cause of pushing forward the Sankirtan movement out of love for our founder Acharya and for Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we find progress in our life. Individually, we find progress in refining our own personalities, how we deal with our family members, with people around us. We find progress when we come back together again and overcome the problems that we perceive one day, and then through rising to a higher level of consciousness, we overcome them and move forward for the sake of the mission. So this Janmashtami marks a time during the year when we can pool all our resources, put all our energies together and showcase how much we've advanced in Krishna consciousness due to performing these austerities for Krishna and receiving his blessings. And the last, well, it's been weeks and months actually preparing for the festival, especially those on the inside who have been spending their extra time on the telephone, making conference calls, surveying the grounds, making sure everything's in place, preparing all what's going to be cooked and so forth. And then in a grand crescendo, everyone came together yesterday, and we got feedback from people who came to the festival, remarking how efficiently we used such a small amount of space, and how we were able to accommodate 7,000, at least 7,500 people yesterday who attended this festival, the largest crowd we've ever had at any ISKCON event. That requires orchestration, which means that the devotees have to work together in a cooperative spirit. And I saw it all night long, devotees doing the needful, doing what they had to do. And this is a great offering to Srila Prabhupada on his divine appearance day, that we're all here together. Actually, I think you all called in and told your boss, I ain't coming in. That was our mantra, right? Just call your boss, I ain't coming in. Why not? I don't have to tell you, I'm just not coming in. So thank you for doing that, or however else you expressed it. And to be together on this day, representing generations, holding together by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and by our desire to serve him to move forward his mission, because we consider it value, having experienced ourselves what the effects are of coming in contact with his writings, with his society, with his devotees, and so forth. So I thank you all very much for all the sacrifice that you've made. We can never take even one day for granted, because as Satyadev Prabhu was mentioning and others were saying, our situation in this material world is tenuous. At any moment we can be relocated. Those around us who we love very much, who we're very much attached to, who are doing so much service, they can roll another direction for any number of reasons. And the very fact that we have this variety of devotees from different backgrounds from all over the world working together for a higher cause, for the highest cause, is the best situation anyone can be in here in this material world. And now the fruit of our last monthly Sankirtan festival, during which devotees went out. I'm not going to say anything because there'll be details in the report. I don't want to diminish it by saying anything, but we will have a reading of an offering to Srila Prabhupada just after the offering is going on at his Vyasa San. And then we'll have actually Pushpanjali ceremony. Which one do we do first? Pushpanjali, last time? We do the MSF offering, then the Pushpanjali, and then we'll have a Guru Puja for Srila Prabhupada. So now, while we're waiting for the offering, Prabhupada, to enjoy the feast that the devotees have taken weeks to plan and painstakingly cooked, we'll take a few reflections, either your realizations about today's talks, anything that you heard that stuck in your mind, or anything from the Janmashtami. Yes, Bali Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. No, I just like to share something about Srila Prabhupada, one or two.
You come up here. You can leave that microphone, there's one there.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. So I was listening to some of the Vyasa Puja offerings in Vrindavan a couple of years ago, and Prabhupada disciples, I don't remember its audio. So they're speaking about, I'm just repeating one of the important things which stuck into my mind. He was saying about, behold the opulence. When Krishna was in Bhagavad Gita says, behold the opulence. So what it means, behold the opulence, sometimes we accept or we glorify Prabhupada's transcendental qualities and opulences, but the next minute we tend to forget it. Means his instructions, his glorious activities, and then we try to deviate that. So what does it mean by behold the mystic opulences? Because Prabhupada, when he spoke about anything, even though casual, that is like itself a Veda. Just imagine when he was going for a walk, it has been recorded, there has been sweet pastimes with his disciples. And just I am reflecting on one pastimes on that. In one morning he woke up, he was talking to his disciple that, who gave me the milk last night? Because the disciple who was there, he was very serious that something happened. So he pointed out his name, and then he asked, how did you make the milk? He said, I just warm it up and heat it up and then give it to you. Oh, that's the reason I have to go to the bathroom. So the reason is he was pointing out that you can boil the milk for 3 times up and down so that the milk contents and the ingredients remain, the protein remains in your body and you absorb it. So these are all simple instructions, but it is so valuable to our life and day-to-day how to really organize our kitchen system. And when Prabhupada built the 108 temple, that is the last one in Odisha, 108 temple, and he gave the instructions that started in Newark, ending in Jagannath Puri, which is near to Jagannath Puri is the Bhubaneswar. And he was emphasizing the writing of the books and given to Gaur Govind Maharaj about the book distributions. I'd like to say this much. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Just as, and by the way, earlier we started with the non-Diksha disciples of Prabhupada speaking today. We had as many as we could estimate we could fit in before we started Prabhupada's Diksha disciples. And last year we had a very nice day, a whole day long, where devotees could come in and make their offerings to Prabhupada. So I'm considering maybe next Saturday. I still have to look at the schedule to make sure I'm not overlapping with something. We could have a day when devotees could bring their offerings to Prabhupada, and we can have an extended Vyasa Puja then. You liked it last year. I could tell because it started with a few devotees in the class, and we thought this will be over in about an hour. But as devotees were listening to it on the internet, more and more of them drove to the temple. And pretty soon the temple room was full, and we went actually till late in the afternoon. Giriraj Swami was here then, and we remembered how he sat with full attention for maybe about 10 hours or something, just the whole time. And it was very absorbing and wonderful. So if you'd all like to do that again, we can plan for something like that. Would you like to do that? Okay, that'll be good. So now we'll stand up and encircle Srila Prabhupada's Vyasasana, and one of the Sankirtan devotees, Sri Krishna's Purushottam Prabhu, is going to read an offering on behalf of all the devotees here at ISV. Just after that, we'll have Pushpanjali and Arti.
Yes, Master. I am for looking, waiting for Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Don't start that now. Wait, you get your turn.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Everyone, please come in closer a little bit and complete silence during the offering. Anyone who talks will be banished from ISV for 12 years.
Dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Aradhyo Bhagavan Vraje Sutanayas Thaddama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachita Upasana Prajvedu Vargena Kalpitam Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumarto Mahan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Mataidam Taddarana Paraha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, is worshipped with his transcendental abode, Vrindavan. The most pleasing form of worship for the Lord is that which performed by gopis of Vrindavan. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless authority on everything, and pure love of Godhead is the ultimate goal for all men. These statements, for which we have highest regard, are the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is recorded by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In his request to devotees, Srila Prabhupada said, "My Guru Maharaj used to say, don't worry about money. Do something nice for Krishna and money will come." So we should always be thinking how to distribute this message of Krishna, and surely he will give us facility. Even an ordinary man, if he wants to publicity, then he gives so much money for the propaganda work. Similarly, Krishna is not poor. He can supply any amount for the devotees who are engaged in broadcasting his glories. By Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Goals. The goals of this MSF were to distribute at least 2,500 Bhagavad Gitas, to distribute at least 200 Krishna books, conduct a seminar at ISV for book distribution, to do relevant research to kickstart ISV library party, to develop a program how to connect with the recipients of Srila Prabhupada books. We are pleased to report that all goals were met and surpassed. Here is the brief report of the MSF highlights and final results. In the keeping with that spirit, and to enlighten the conditioned souls from the darkness of ignorance unto the path of developing love of Godhead Krishna Prem, ISV devotees did a massive book distribution during the month of July and first week in August to accomplish the proposed MSF goals. The books are distributed at several venues, including the San Francisco Haight and Ashbury, Gilroy Garlic Festival, Kids Ratha Yatra in downtown Palo Alto, and also Harinam performance in Palo Alto. In addition, ISV devotees, both adults and kids, went to door-to-door book distribution through the several apartment complexes in the Bay Area for over a last full month. The Sunday school kids, as usual, smashed their goals by distributing 950 Bhagavad Gitas, including 64 Krishna books, and collecting 4,883 Lakshmi points. The Mortal Gita team displayed a joint effort by devotees of ISKCON Alachua, ISKCON Laguna Beach, placing 2,373 Bhagavad Gitas in various motels across the US. Books are also distributed via the smart boxes placed at several establishments in Bay Area. Devotees also distributed more than 15,000 Janmashtami flyers all across the Bay Area. We would like to thank Shalva Tirupati Prabhu for leading this effort. Shraddha Mataji Mukaravinda Prabhu sponsored 10 cases of Krishna books and distributed across corporate offices and devotees. And ISV kids read the Krishna books at temple programs and conference calls led by His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu and His Holiness Kesava Bharati Maharaj. And also His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu led a ISV Sankirtan seminar in last week at ISV temple. All glories to His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu. During this MSF, 23 Srimad Bhagavatam sets were distributed. Devotees also made donations to support book distribution and sponsor full cases of Bhagavad Gitas and Krishna books. Summary. Here is the final results for the MSF book distribution. More than 59 devotees participated in book distribution.
Haribo!
4,505 books, including 3,218 Bhagavad Gitas and 439 Krishna books distributed.
Haribo!
28,042.84 cents. That is $28,000 Lakshmi collected by overall book distribution for this semester. Surprisingly, we also got 5,000 anonymous donation from one of our devotee at ISV congregation for book distribution. On behalf of our team, we thank all participants and donors who contribute to sponsor Bhagavad Gita books, support book distribution, the Sankirtan leaders, Kid Sankirtan leaders for their organization and planning, and all the team group leaders and members for their diligent efforts to book distribution. And also our special thanks to His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu for his continual inspiration for the book distribution.
Haribo! Congratulations.
And at last, some donations we received for Mortal Gita, for Shraddha Mataji and Neeral Prabhu, and thanking them for wonderful contributions for book distribution. Very good.
Haribo!
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai!
Janmashtami Vyasa Puja Mahostav ki
Jai!
Hare Krishna.
And now we'll pass out flowers for the Pushpanjali. You can